Well, hello there and welcome to the much delayed AMA, the Alpha Male 2.0 version of the AMA, where I will spend the next 27 hours answering all the questions that you all have written in over the past several weeks. It's been a long time since I've done this. I think 2 years. I've done this about 2 years. And so if you didn't know, a bunch of people wrote in a bunch of questions over the last few weeks. And in this video, I'm going to just go through them all and answer all of them. And AMA means ask me anything, and I will answer pretty much anything. If you have any question you have, minus a few rules I'll cover in a second. So to be clear, we're doing 3 of these. We're doing an Alpha Male 2.0 version, which is this video. Then I will be doing a Pink Firefly version, where she will be asking on the video, and she'll be answering questions you wrote in for her. And then we'll be doing a Sovereign CEO version. And in that version, I'm going to cover all the questions. So here's what I did. When all the questions came in, I broke them out, or my staff broke them out in 2 groups. This AMA, I will cover dating, relationships, anti-aging, testosterone, male lifestyle, guy stuff, pop culture, things like that, okay? In the Sovereign CEO AMA, which will be over at my Sovereign CEO channel and Sovereign CEO podcast, in that I will cover business, 5 flags, international, finances, and politics, okay? That's kind of the division here, all right? Before I get to the questions I have right in front of me here, the rules in terms of the things I will not answer. Okay. So this is the same rules I've had for 15 years on the internet. I will answer anything you have minus 2 or 3 or 4 things. I will never answer any questions about, Caleb, how much money do you make? What is your net worth? Where exactly are you invested? I will never answer those questions for liability reasons. I've written about in detail why I will not answer those questions publicly. Also, for the purposes of the Alpha Male 2.0 AMA here, I will not answer any questions about how many women have you had sex with. And I've talked about why I want to answer that, because if I answered that, first, that number changes. But if I answer that, I would be in nonstop arguments with haters and nitpickers for the rest of my life, because I've seen other guys in my space answer that question, and they have nonstop arguments with haters and nitpickers, and I don't want to do that. So you're just going to have to guess. Also, I will not answer any questions, and we get them every time we do this. Every time we do this, there's 1 or 2 of these in here. Did you fuck this particular person? You give me a name of a public figure. Okay, I will not answer those. And to be clear, I can't answer yes or no. So if you say, did you fuck so-and-so, and I say no, well, did you fuck so-and-so, and I say no, well, did you fuck so-and-so, and I say I can't answer that, then you can figure out the answer would be yes. So whenever I'm asked that question, I have to literally say, I'm not answering that question. My standard answer to that is, go contact her and ask her. And if then she says publicly yes, then I can answer. Or publicly no, then I guess I can answer that too. Right? Okay. That's really about it. I will answer pretty much everything else. My life is pretty much an open book. And in terms of these questions, I have seen about 1/3 of these questions. Maybe 1/3, maybe 30, 40% I've glanced at them. I have not seen most of them. I'm going to give you kind of an extemporaneous experience here. And also, their names have been removed from these questions. So when I answer these questions, I will not know who you are. I don't want to be influenced by who you are. I want to give you a real, raw answer. So if it's someone, if I saw your name and I like you, I don't want to be overly nice. Or if I see your name and I don't like you, I don't want to be overly mean. I want to be very objective in terms of answering the questions on the merit of the questions, not who's asking the question. Cool? Lastly, I know I'm gonna get this question. Caleb, can you put timestamps to this video so we can find my question? No, that costs a lot of money. I'm not doing this. I do this for free. Fuck you. If you want that kind of thing, join one of my coaching programs. Join the UMS program. Join the Founder Sanctum program. We do that kind of stuff there because you pay us to do it. Here, no, sorry. Just listen to the whole thing or don't. And this will be a video and it'll also be a podcast. So it'll be both formats. Cool? Cool. Okay. What else should I cover before we get started? I guess that's it. As usual, this will be an unedited raw video. Okay. I might do this in chunks depending on how long we go. The last time I did this, I think was 5 hours. But again, I'm splitting this out into 2 videos now. So maybe it'll be 2.5 hours. I don't know as of right now how long this video is. You do, or how long this podcast is. You know, you can see how long this is. I don't know. So we'll just go as far as we can. And that's it. All right, cool. And by the way, the questions are no particular answer. We got some on Instagram. We got some on email. We got some from YouTube. We got some from where else? Alt tech sites. I mean, this is a conglomeration of all the questions we got in a big pile. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. I'll be drinking water too. Hang on, let me get my water ready here. I'm going to need this a lot. All right, here we go. First question. Why do you think wokeism has dominated pop culture? It's relatively simple if you just think it through, and I've talked a lot about this. So right-wingers and left-wingers, let's start there. Right-wingers, as I've been saying for 15 years, right-wingers have a secret hatred of sex. I didn't say right-wingers don't have sex. I didn't say they don't want sex. They have a secret hatred of it. Secretly, they are uncomfortable with it, okay? That explains a lot of tradcon stuff and religious stuff, and right? Okay. Left-wingers, what do they have a secret hatred of? They have a secret hatred of money. I didn't say there are no wealthy left-wingers. There's lots of those. Okay? I'm saying there's a secret hatred, a guilt they have when left-wingers make a lot of money. So is the modern-day Western world right or left? It's left. I've been saying that for years, okay? And it gets more left every year. So in a collapsing left-wing society, companies, corporations in a left-wing society, are they going to be happy about making a lot of money or not really like it? They're not really going to like it. They're not going to like the concept of making profit. And so now you have big corporations who have been on record as clearly stating, we're not here to make money. We're here to push a political agenda because that's more important to left-wingers than making money. Left-wingers don't even like the word profit. You talk about profit, left-wingers, there's a part of a left-winger's brain goes, but that's not right. Oh, profit, not good. So that's how this works. Gillette, the Gillette commercial that we saw, my nose is very itchy. The Gillette commercial we saw a few years ago that was just trashing men, which is Gillette's audience. And they had a whole bunch of backlash. Maybe you didn't see this. I was going to say you saw. I saw the letter from the CEO when people saying, is this a good idea to trash your own audience to push a political agenda? And the CEO, and they were saying, you've lost these customers. By the way, I have never purchased a Gillette product, but since that commercial 4 or 5 years ago, I purposely go out of my way to not buy them. If I see them in the store, I just avoid them. I buy Schick, usually buy Schick. But that commercial made me realize I shouldn't buy Gillette products. Anyway. The CEO came out and said publicly, hey, if we lose customers, that's just the way it goes. We need to, push our political agenda. I don't care. Okay? Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, who was in charge of Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, Disney. Okay, you've seen how woke and feminine all the Star Wars content has been the last few years. The Star Wars TV shows, the movies, the Marvel movies. Every Marvel superhero now has a female version of it. It's amazing. And he came out. I listened to the shareholders call a few weeks ago where he was taking questions from shareholders. And shareholders asked him, you could Google this on YouTube or search this on YouTube. Guys would say, Mr. Iger, is it wise to make a strong political stance that some people agree with, but a lot of people don't? Instead of just not talking about politics and focusing on the objective of telling stories to make money? And Bob Iger said very clearly, yeah, it's a great idea. I love it when corporations take strong political opinions. That's our job here. So in the modern left-wing collapsing era, it is not the goal of big giant corporations to make money for their shareholders. That's not their objective. Their objective is to push a left-wing political agenda. And the reason they're allowed to get away with this these days is that when you say shareholders, what's the purpose of a company? The purpose of a company is to create profit for shareholders. If Disney was owned by a bunch of individuals, they wouldn't be able to get away with this shit. People would say, what the fuck? Stop pushing this left-wing shit. Stop losing all this goddamn money. But that's not how it is anymore with the stock market. Most big corporations today are not owned by individuals. They're owned by ETFs, mutual funds, pension funds, big giant conglomerates like Blackwater, State Street. They're owned by these big entities. They don't give a shit about the politics. They don't care. So that's why these big corporations can get away with all this woke shit and lose millions of dollars because their shareholders don't have a direct conduit to them anymore. All you have is an ETF, right, or a mutual fund, and it owns 1,000 different stocks, and Disney is one of them. So are you going to give a shit? No. So it's a combination of the financialization of the financial sector in terms of how this is structured today versus, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Disney couldn't do this back in the 80s when most shares were owned by shareholders, right? And the left-winging of society that continues every year. So a combination of those two things means big corporations do not care anymore about making profit for shareholders. That's not their objective. Their objective is to push a left-wing narrative because they live in a left-wing culture, right? That's it. Stop watching Marvel. Stop watching Star Wars. I said on my blogs, and I do what I promise, when The Force Awakens came out. Force Awakens? Yes. When The Force Awakens came out, I said at the time, I said, this is a well-done movie, but nothing on the screen makes any sense in terms of a Star Wars setting. It doesn't make any sense. It makes sense from a marketing standpoint that C-3PO has a red arm because they want to sell C-3PO toys the red arm. If it's a red arm, then J.J. Abrams gets the money instead of George Lucas. So from a marketing, merchandising standpoint, it makes sense. But from a setting in Star Wars, none of this makes any sense. The plot doesn't make any sense. The setting doesn't make any sense. The characters don't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense. So I said, they better fucking explain it in the next movie, or I am never watching a Star Wars movie in the movie theater ever again. And all these Star Wars nerds, all this stuff is still in my blog. You can go look this up. All these Star Wars nerds came out and said, oh, Caleb, you don't understand. They're going to explain it all in the next movie. They have a plan. Okay, they know what they're doing. And then The Last Jedi came out. And you know what happened there? It was even worse. And I said, that's it, I'm done. I've never watched a Star Wars movie in the movie theater ever again. I will watch clips of Star Wars movies and like on the plane if I'm sleepy and I can't work, that kind of shit. So stop consuming this shit. There's an entire industry of people on the internet who are mad at pop culture, at how left and woke and horrible it's gotten, but they still watch this shit. They still go see these movies. Stop. The only Marvel movie I've seen in the movie theater since then, Marvel, I stopped watching those, was the Spider-Man one, which is good. That's the only good one they've done in the last few years. Yeah. All right. Next question. Let's see. What do you think about the idea that life shouldn't just be about happiness? I think it's wrong. And that it's a shallow life goal. I've seen a few different people pushing this idea in the past couple of years. Do you think you can achieve long-term happiness with only the two motorcycle wheels, money and sex? Is it still important to have some sort of spirituality in your life? This is all the same guy. Keep your questions a little shorter, guys. Spirituality in life or something more meaningful? What has your experience been personally with people you've coached? Okay, you're all over the place, dude. Your life should be about long-term consistent happiness. Long-term happiness, as I described in chapter 2 of The Unchained Man, that book right there. Read chapter 2 of that book and I describe why, yes, that should be the goal of your life. Should you have something more to your life? Yes, that's why I talk about mission, 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 mission. You are probably a Jordan Peterson dork. You're probably a Jordan Peterson worshiper. And he loves to say, it's not about happiness. Fuck happiness. That's not the goal of life. That's a very Christian viewpoint because he's a secret, extreme, tradcon Christian. It's about meaning. No, it's about both. You create meaning, mission, to be happy. You don't just say, I need to have meaning, and then don't worry about your happiness. That's fucking dumb. Then you'll be the typical pissed off, angry Christian who's getting divorced from his wife like Steven Crowder. Or you know, Jordan Peterson, Mr. Happiness Doesn't Matter. He got depressed, almost killed himself with drugs. Have I had any of these problems? No, because I focus on happiness through meaning, which is my mission. You need both. But your mission is a mechanism to create happiness, which is the point. The mission isn't the point. I know this is shocking. The meaning is not the point. The meaning is a means to an end to get to long-term happiness. And as a man, you can't have long-term happiness without meaning, without mission. So you need both. Not one or the other. Not focus on meaning and don't give a shit about happiness. That's frivolous and shallow. That's for immature people who don't believe in Jesus, right? That's bullshit. Okay. Do you think you can achieve long-term happiness with only the two motorcycle wheels, money, and sex? No, and you are misunderstanding my metaphor. You need to read chapter 1 of that book again. Money and sex are the baseline for happiness to get derived from these other things, like spirituality, children, family, giving back to society, fitness, all that stuff. Those things can only make you happy if you have plenty of money and you're getting laid on a regular basis. If you have no money or very little money or you're never getting laid, nothing else is going to make you happy. Your spiritual life is not going to make you happy in terms of your spiritual life. I think spiritual life is great, but that's not going to make you happy. What about Buddhist monks? Are you a Buddhist monk? No, you're not. So shut the fuck up. Okay. So yes, you need those two things as a baseline to get happiness from those other things. I have never said, and you need to reread that book or reread that chapter. I've never said money and sex, now you're happy the rest of your life. That's not what I said. I didn't say anything like that. I said the engine of these motorcycles is the most important part, which is family and meaning and spirituality and mission, right? But without the two tires, money and sex, the engine won't make you happy. Make sense? Need a drink, hang on. By the way, I've said this before too. If you are under the age of 60, let's say 50. If you're under the age of 50, you should not have a spiritual life. You're too young. And that applies to me. I'm too young to have a spiritual life. I'm 51. I'm too young to have a strong spiritual life. Almost 99% of the time, I see a man with a strong spiritual life who's under the age of 50. He's just a stupid, Christian or Muslim, and he's doing a bunch of religious crap. He gets religious, which is not spirituality. It's a form of spirituality. If you want to get into spirituality, wait till you're an old man. And that's part of my mission. I have two phases of my mission. I'm going to get very spiritual over the next 10 years, but not now. I'm too young. Okay. What has been your experience personally with people you've coached? The majority of people who I've coached one-on-one have improved the areas in which they worked on. A few people didn't do what I told them to do and didn't accomplish anything. Very similar to my consulting career. Most of the companies I've consulted with have made a lot more money following my advice. But there's been a few companies who said, all right, thank you very much. They didn't do anything I said, and they had all kinds of problems. That's my experience. Let's see. Caleb, 3 years ago in 2020, you and some red pill guys did an appraisal YouTube videos on Tomi Lahren. Yeah, for the video she did, yes. Strategically to drive most social media followers and traffic to her, and it works extremely well for her then. Incorrect. That did not work. Is Tomi Lahren more famous now than she was 2, 3, 4 years ago? No. It did not work, and you are a Tomi Lahren worshiper. If you think that worked, that is completely inaccurate to the facts. It did not help her. It made a lot of people dislike her. Do you think, this is the same question, do you think some Western women and not some age 33 over ones are becoming more standoffish, masculine, bratty, arrogant, bitchy, and problematic types who want to cause trouble and drama? Yes, I do think that. Since it's Alpha 2.0 to hard next drama. As being nice and pleasant is too much for some women who are confrontational instead of vulnerable and honest. And these women, your long questions are killing me, motherfuckers. And these women are angry at the undesirable simps who shower attention on them, or are at the other competing women and desirable men who might reject them. Many of these women know they're self-deluded as they get false praise, but they can't handle reality, and like fucking children, it's almost done. It's all about protecting their egos since they can't stand being rejected, even though they've turned rejection into an art form. Okay, you're all over the fucking place. Are women today in the Western world more standoffish, masculine, bratty, arrogant, bitchy, problematic? Yes, of course. It's part of the collapsing Western world. Part of the collapse of the Western world is cultural collapse, not just financial collapse, although that's the big part of it. The answer is yes. Particularly masculine. Women have become more masculine. Men have become more feminine. Dan Pena loves to talk about those studies where they measure handshakes. The strength of a typical man handshake in the 1980s was this. And today it's like a fraction. It's way weaker. But then women's handshakes are way stronger now. Yes. As men become more pussified, women become more masculine to balance that out, or vice versa. So yes, and that's a trend that's going to continue. Women will become more dominant, more masculine. I've talked about the three types of women: dominance, independence, and submissives. What did I say? What I've been saying forever. What's the largest category? The largest category of far between those three types? Dominance, by far. It's like 60+%. Maybe today it's 70%. It's growing. More and more women are becoming this way. Yes, yes. And a lot of it is men's fault. Men did not have to put up with this. The right-wingish narrative, we're talking about a lot of right-wingers, aren't we? The right-wingish narrative is that white Western men built this wonderful civilization, and then all of a sudden one day, all these feminists came out of nowhere and fucked it all up. Or all these Mexicans or Muslims came out of nowhere and fucked it all up. No, that's not what happened. What happened is that white Western men who built civilization suddenly, starting around the 1960s, 70s, started cowering to the women. And, she'd say, take the trash out. And he'd say, well, I'm not taking the trash out. Go, well, I'm going to divorce you. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, honey. And that's what started. So a lot of this is men's fault. Maybe most of this is men's fault. I don't give men a pass on this. A lot of these guys from this world tend to blame women, or feminists, or wokeists, or socialists, or Mexicans, or Muslims, no, this is white Western men who did this. They didn't have to do that shit. They could have said, shut the fuck up. Don't tell me what to do. They could have done that. They didn't. So there you go. And yes, this is going to get worse. Get ready. It's going to get worse. Yeah. Does that mean that there are no good Western women? That's the other extreme, you guys. Well, I can't find any women in America, so I'm going to move to Estonia. No, there's lots of amazing Western women. I've dated many of them. They're fantastic. My wife is a Western American woman. She's wonderful. So there are a lot of them out there, just less than before. Yeah. For a man who never wants to deal with the obligatory serious relationship stuff like spend time with a woman's family and friends, or to be her plus one at weddings and events, or other textbook boyfriend bullshit like that, is only interested in sex and someone to talk over an occasional takeout meal and maybe watch a movie together every now and then, would you say the ideal relationship type for him is to focus would be low-end MLTRs? Not low-end MLTRs, MLTRs. You've just described the MLTR. You just described an MLTR. Someone you're dating, you like, you have sex, you go out to dinner sometimes, go see a movie, and that's it. She's not your girlfriend. Okay? You're not gonna introduce to your parents. Okay, you're not gonna do boyfriend-girlfriend stuff. You just described an MLTR. Not low-end MLTR, an MLTR. So yes, go for it. It's great. If a woman was giving you very mild drama, for instance, she was becoming a little combative in a discussion over, say, politics, feminism, religion. Oh my God. Why are you discussing politics, feminism, religion with women? Stop discussing politics and feminism and religion with females. What the fuck? Females you're dating, excuse me. What the fuck are you guys doing? What do you expect to happen? You dumb fuck? Don't do that. Jesus Christ. This is your fault. I don't do this. Discuss politics with a modern day Western woman you're dating? Are you an idiot? Or whatever, and yet you didn't feel it was aggressive enough to be a soft next offense, though it could escalate if it didn't stop. Would you just say something like, I'm not talking about this any further, and or just try to change the subject? And what if that didn't work? Yes, that is exactly. First of all, I wouldn't have this problem because I'm not a dumb fuck like you, and I don't discuss feminism and religion and politics with women I'm dating. I've said many times, Pink Firefly and I have a rule. We do not discuss religion. We don't discuss it. Now, we've broken that rule a little bit lately because she's actually changing some of her spiritual beliefs. She's read a lot of books and done a lot of research and stuff. So she's moving slowly from Christianity into more New Agey bullshit, both of which are bullshit. But anyway, we just don't discuss it because she's going to get pissed. If I start saying, Jesus Christ, did Jesus Christ really walk on water? You really believe that shit? Like most Christians, she starts getting all pissed off and defensive. So we just don't talk about it, okay? So yes, if I was a moron and discussed this with someone I was dating, yes, I would say, hey, I'm not talking about this anymore. Yeah. Trying to say to change something. Yes. What if that didn't work? Well, if that didn't work and she kept going, then it would be a soft nextable offense. You'd have to soft next her and it'd be your fucking fault. You had to soft next her. Don't discuss these topics with women, you dumb fucks. I just don't get you guys sometimes. It's you guys have such a need to talk and express your emotions to the women you're dating. Just enjoy them. Work hard on your Alpha 2.0 location-independent business, then relax the rest of the day with your women and just enjoy them. Don't talk about Trump and feminists and morons. Let's see. You mentioned how you and PF have different communication styles. That's very true, yes. Radically different. And that's been a challenge of the two of you at times. Yes, indeed, it has. Can you expand a bit more on that and describe what you've learned and improved and how the marriage counseling has helped in that area? Yeah, sure. So that'd be a good question to ask Pink Firefly and her AMA too. Matter of fact, there may be a question or two about that in there. So let's see. Pink Firefly and I are extreme opposite ends of the spectrum of masculine and feminine. I'm on the extreme masculine side. She's on the extreme feminine side. More so than most women, more so than most girly girls, because I did a lot of girly girls. She's even more feminine than most of those, okay? When you look at communication styles for men and women who are, let's not talk about men. Let's say masculine and feminine, because you can have masculine women, you can have feminine guys who aren't gay. They're out there, plenty of them, more today than ever before. Masculine is very direct. I want this, stop doing that. It's very direct, okay? Hyper masculine. What is hyper feminine? Very indirect. So when she wants something, she's not going to come in and say, I want this. She's going to sit, and not only is she feminine, she's also a submissive. So independent, submissive, dominant, she's a submissive. So when she wants something, she's going to sit there and like look at me and like blink. She's not going to tell me. And she's going to hope that I'm going to read her mind or read her subtle female cues, which as a masculine guy, I'm not going to. I'm very tunnel vision. And so I won't do something. And then 3 days later, she'll say, well, I wish you would have done that. I would say, why didn't you fucking tell me? Right? Because I'm direct. So that is one part of the problem. The other part of the problem is on the other side is me. I'm direct. So I say, I want this. Or let's do this. Or she'll say, I had a problem today and I had an argument with and I'll say, and what I want to say in my masculine brain, I'll say, well, don't fucking do that. Okay. And you can't do that to a feminine indirect communicator. So I've had to learn to use something I hate. You might have heard of it. It's called empathy. I had to use empathy. So when she comes home, she had a bad day with her friends or whatever. I have to go, oh, that does suck. And I hate it, but I do it. Oh, come here. Let me give you a hug. Tell daddy all about it. That kind of shit, right? And on her end, she's had to learn, and she hates it to be to be more direct and tell me exactly what she wants in 4 or 5 words, not 14 paragraphs because she's a girl, 4 or 5 words. And it's hard for her. It's hard for me. It's been hard for us. We're still not there. And we'll probably never get there 100%. Be part of our marriage, just got to put up with. Yeah, because we both chose, and I chose this consciously, we both chose to marry someone who is a diametric opposite. Now, I've talked about before and analyzed before. The beauty of this is we're still very attracted to each other. So we are still very horny for each other. We've been together 8 years, living together for 5 or 6, and we're still super horny for each other. How many live-in couples do you know who are still super horny for each other, excited to have sex with each other, both physically and emotionally, after living together for 5, 6 years? I can't name one in my personal life. I'm sure they're out there. So that's the beauty of being opposites. The attraction is insane. It's crazy. But then the communication is an issue. Can you please share 1 or 2 of your successes and failure stories with younger women from back when you briefly did day game as an older man? Sure, that was a long time ago. That was 2009-ish. So when I did it consistently anyway. Success or failure. That could be a long thing, and I want to get to other questions, so I'll summarize. My biggest success by far with day game back then was a super smoking hot blonde 18-year-old, and for context, I was in my late 30s at the time, who I met at a sunglasses store. I still remember this. And back then I was still learning PUA and shit. I did some techniques like the cube. I did that shit on her, and we talked. I got her phone number. I did more of the cube over text. We met up and we had sex. And then we only had sex, let's see, I want to say 2, 3 times? 3 times? I don't remember. 2 times? I don't remember. Because she went off to ASU. It was right before summer. She just left high school. She was going off to ASU. ASU, by the way, is where all the hot blonde girls in the whole United States go to for college. They go to ASU. I'm not exaggerating much. So that was my biggest success. Failure. I had a bunch of those, but they were little. I can't think of one off the top of my head that sticks out. Just the usual stuff of they give you a phone number and it's a fake number, or they give you a phone number and they don't respond. Got a lot of that. That's the challenge with day game, all the non-responsive phone numbers. I'm trying to think of a failure in that, and I can't think of anything other than those. So, yeah. More water, hang on. With Instagram being the hyper-effective phase, Instagram is not the hyper-effective phase. No, incorrect. As a sort of de facto dating site, it is not a hyper-effective dating app or site. Is there some type of harvesting leads and DM strategy you're using that's working as an alternative to standard dating sites? I am not using it because I don't need to anymore. Guys in my audience, yes. Buy the Ultimate Online Dating Manual updated for the 2020s at onlinedatingssuccessnow.com. We have both the manual version and the audiobook and the video version. And I go into great detail on what guys are doing right now using Instagram and getting laid. Now, it's a lot. I'll be honest with you. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time and effort, a lot of software, sometimes multiple devices they're using. You got to put in time and effort to this. It's not like you can DM a few girls to get laid because it's not the hyper-effective phase. I don't know why you think that. It's effective. It is effective. It's getting effective, but not a hyper-effective. So check that out. Those guys, when I interviewed a bunch of guys for those books, they gave me the details of what they were doing. Get that book. It's all there, baby. I know self-improvement will never die, but with pickup having gone back underground and having the majority decline in the last 10 years, Caleb, what is your brutal take on why? Is it that, oh my God, he lists all these things. Okay, this question is way too long. I'm going to have to summarize this. This is just too long to read. So I'll summarize. He's like, is it oversaturated with PUA products? People don't go to seminars anymore. Online dating rose more and more. Internet became more sliced up with MGTOW and hypergamy and all that shit. Me Too bullshit. Western, non-Western men. Well, dude, whoever you are asking this question, the answer to all these things is yes. Everything you're listing is reasonably accurate here. You're listing a lot, so I can't read it all, but it's less visible to most. Instagram, TikTok, social media blew up. Yeah, I mean, your analysis is correct. Yeah. I read your blog post about dealing with balding. Any new advice on the options? Would you still have gone the same route knowing what you know now? So in my case, yes. So what I did is non-surgical hair restoration. That's what I did for my fake hair. So if you've seen the video of this, 40-50% of this hair you're seeing is not mine. It's fake. Okay? There's a mesh permanently on my head and the hair grows through it. The other one is getting the surgery. There's FUE and FOE, right? FOE and FUE. So one of them, I forget which one, is an improvement. So I think FUE is the old one where they take a big chunk of skin from the back of your head and they chop it little pieces and dot it over your head where you're balding. The FOE, or the other one, is where they use an algorithm to randomly pull hair all around the sides of your head. So you don't have this scar on the back of your head and they dot it on top of it. And that works too. Those both work. They're valid. I've had guys in my audience, including guys in our coaching programs, who do those things. You can get them really cheap in places like Turkey, and they're really good at it. They work great. I just don't like the surgery, and I still would not have chosen the surgery for several reasons. One is it's super expensive. Two is it's not permanent. You got to go in every 10 years because it fixes the hair you have, but the hair you have can also fall out even after the surgery. Three, you look weird for a while. You got to wear a baseball hat for a while. That's a disadvantage. Now, the disadvantage what I've got is I have a thing on my head. It's not a toupee. It doesn't come off. But I have to manage this. I have to go to a special hair place. When I travel for many weeks, there's certain things I have to do to it to maintain it. So that's kind of a pain in the ass. There's a monthly fee, fine. So they're both kind of a hassle. One is not better than the other. Really, it's up to you. So no, I would not change my decision. I would still make the same decision today based on what I want. And I'm going to repeat this again because a lot of guys always bring this up. I've talked about this in videos. Kayla, why don't you just shave your head? Look at me. Stocky, chubby guys with super white skin, when they shave their heads, look like shit. They do. Picture Hank on Breaking Bad. He looks worse. He should have had hair. Okay? And I have brothers. I've mentioned this. I have brothers, multiple brothers. One shaved his head, looks great because of the shape of his face, the skin tone. Another brother I have shaved his head, looks like shit. Some guys look like shit when they shave their heads. Those guys need to do the fake hair thing. Either the tattoos or non-surgical hair restoration like I did. I didn't talk about the tattoos. That's another option. Or the surgery. Admit it, Caleb. You're jealous, Y-O-U-R, of Andrew Tate. You constantly say he's working with the mafia. Yes, because he says that. And he groped a bunch of women. Incorrect. I have never said that, ever. I have said I don't know what he did or didn't do. I have no idea. I haven't done the research. So I've never said that. You're incorrect. When in reality, there's no new evidence in his case. Correct, the cops are corrupt, but that doesn't mean Andrew Tate did nothing wrong or didn't break the law. The Romanian government is still keeping him behind bars. So this is before he got released. I saw your YouTube video when he got arrested and you looked really happy. Then you watched the wrong video. I looked exasperated that I had to talk about it. I said you should go back to that video and watch it again. I didn't look happy at all. Like, God damn, I got to talk about this again. Here we go again. Did I look happy to you? No. You're an Andrew Tate worshiper, so if anyone says anything negative about your God, you get upset and say stupid shit like I said he groped women, which I never said. Now, I am happy in that yet another one of my predictions became accurate. When I predict something and it happens, that's kind of cool. I always like that. Sure. I predicted he would go to jail, and he did. Before that, I predicted he would be canceled, and he was. Yeah. So I like those, but I wasn't happy. I don't like talking about Andrew Tate. I can't stand talking about Andrew Tate. I did that because to satisfy the algorithm, which I don't do anymore. But if you think I looked really happy, you're not rational, because watch that video again. You can tell how I'm kind of exasperated about it. And I'm not jealous, just like with Peter Zeihan. That's kind of a response that people say when they defend someone. Well, you're just jealous. What am I jealous about Andrew Tate about? Am I jealous of his woman life? No, I would never have his woman life. Mine is far superior to Andrew Tate's. Am I jealous about his 5 flags? No, mine is way better set up than his. Hell no. Am I jealous of his fame? I don't want to be Andrew Tate famous. I would hate that. No. Maybe has a higher net worth than me. Maybe. I don't know what his net worth is. The rumor is 30 million. So I'm not worth 30 million. If he is worth 30 million, I'll be jealous of that. That one little, his net worth. Assuming he's worth 30 million, I have a feeling he's not. What are your current thoughts about your current OLTR marriage? What are your current thoughts about how your current OLTR marriage might be different if kids were involved? If you use your current OLTR marriage with Pink Firefly as an example of how things can be successful, what do you do to mitigate potential negatives, etc.? Which is all inspirational, but I often think about how it would be different for someone doing the OLTR live-in marriage thing if kids were involved. Do you think that would be different in your case? Do you think it would be more drama or issues or possibly less sex? Or do you think your current happiness levels with PF after 5 years would be more or less the same, even if kids came in the picture 2 or 3 years after living together? You are correct. If Pink Firefly and I had children, we would be less happy. Accurate. Yes. Now, would it be miserable? No. I have a very good marriage structure with her, and we're good with each other. So no, we'd still be happy, but we wouldn't be as happy. You're right. It would not be nearly as good. As I've said many times at my blogs, and traditional conservative people get very upset when I say this, but it's fact. When they do happiness studies and people have kids, their average happiness drops. And it stays low for 20 years until the goddamn kids move out. Then their happiness bumps back up again. Having children makes you less happy on the overall. When people say that can't be right, I love my kids. I had kids too. I love my kids. But when you're thinking back on your experiences with your kids, what do you think back on? Do you think back on the horrible experiences? No, you think about the times they cuddle with you and say, I love you, Daddy. You think about the isolated moments where they made you happy. You're not thinking about the other 14 hours where they were screaming and yelling and barfing all over and you're like, God damn it. You're not thinking all that shit, are you? You know, your teenage son knocking up the chicks and telling you to fuck off and your teenage daughter giving the finger. And you're not thinking about that stuff. People reflect on the positive. They don't realize how unhappy they are. So yes, your analysis is correct. If Pink Firefly had kids, we would definitely be less happy. She would be even more unhappy than she is now. Even less happy than I would. Because she'd have to be the mom and she stresses about stuff. One of the many reasons she never had kids and one of the many reasons I didn't want to have more kids. Because I'm smart. I wanted to be happy. And that doesn't mean I regret having my kids. I love my kids. But raising those kids, and here's the deal. My kids are both good kids. They were both good when they were little and kids and high school. They were good kids. Even with good kids, it was a pain in the ass to raise kids. I mean, you guys who have kids, you know, big fucking pain in the ass, isn't it? Right? And I shudder at people I know who have bad kids. That's a whole other level of hell. A lot of people have bad kids. And I know people who have like 3, 4, 5 kids and all of them except one, they have one really horrible one and it ruins their life. Fuck that. So that's why I didn't have kids. But you're right. Where do you meet your FBs as you live with Pink Firefly? Is Pink Firefly okay with you bringing FBs to your apartment? We don't live in an apartment, we live in a house. While you're there. I've talked about this many times. Strange you don't know this. One of the few rules I have to follow that I had to negotiate this on when I moved in with her is that I cannot bring women over to our house unless she is involved. She likes to watch me have sex with the women. So when that's happening, she's more than happy to have women come over. But then it has to be a curated event. I can't just do it, okay? So I have to have all of my sex outside the house. When I was in the United States, I had an office, in quotes, that was set up like an apartment. So 2 separate rooms, an office, and like a room I set with a futon and stuff. That's where I met my FBs in the United States. Here, I got to be careful what I say publicly due to certain laws. I don't have sex in my home. I have sex other places. That's all I'll say. And certainly when I travel, like if I go to Paraguay, Pink Firefly doesn't want to go to Paraguay. So I go to Paraguay, it's not relevant there. So no, but I have rule. I cannot bring women over to our house. It's one of the few rules I had to agree to. And it's a rule I agree with. It makes sense to me. It makes sense for a married woman to say, this is my house. It'd feel weird to have women come over here. And that's why all these stupid polyamorous idiots on TikTok, they do these videos about, oh, I walked into my boyfriend having sex with another girl. I said, oh, I'm sorry. And they make a joke. You would never do that. You don't have people over at your house when you live with someone. That's fucking stupid, with rare exception. Unless you're into threesomes and things like that. That's different. When your 90% of women come back, 94%, thank you, after breaking up, is it ever an ugly breakup? Never. I have never had an ugly breakup in my entire alpha male 2.0 life ever. The alpha male 2.0 doesn't have ugly breakups. Ugly breakups are for beta males and alpha male 1.0s who pursue monogamy. That's what breakups are for. So no, my last bad breakup was my first marriage back when I was a beta male before I became alpha male 2.0 15 plus years ago. I've never had a bad breakup in my entire life. Alpha male 2.0 life. Moving on, same question. How long is the cycle of them finding a controllable guy and then getting him sick of him and returning? Depends on several factors. Depends primarily one on her age. So younger women, it might be 2-3 months and she'll come back. So if she's 18, 19, 20 years old, just a few months, she'll probably be back. If she's older, if she's 41, it's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 years. So the older she is, the longer that time frame takes. Speaking in general, there are always exceptions. Can you share how Pink Firefly responded to you telling her that you would be having sex with other women, or has it evolved or changed as you seem to be happily married? Yeah, we are happily married. Let's see. Responded to. So here's the weird thing about Pink Firefly and I. We never really had the talk the way I described it. We had the OLTR talk. We definitely had that. We didn't really have the talk because she started out as an FB for a year. And then we didn't really see each other for about a year. And then and then we saw each other again. She became an OLTR for like 6, 7, 8 months. And so she knew me already really well. So by the time we had the OLTR talk, where you list all the negatives of yourself if you move in with you, that she'll have to experience if she moves in with you. When I said I'm going to be with women the rest of my life, she was like, literally, here's what I said. I said, number one, I'm going to be fucking other women for literally the rest of my life into my 70s, and I will never stop. And this is her response. You ready for this? This is true. She goes, okay, next. That was it. She did not care because she already knew. She knew I was dating other women way back when we were FBs. So she knew this. It was just part of who I am. That's what EFA is all about. If you never act like a monogamous boyfriend, you'll never have to have these kind of talks. Most of you do, so you need to have the talk. Has it evolved or changed? You seem to be happily married. It has evolved since I moved to Dubai. Since we moved to Dubai, it has certainly evolved. The caliber of women that I have been with over the past few years has increased. And there was a year where Pink Firefly didn't live together, and that increased her jealousy. So it certainly has evolved in that respect. There's been some little tweaks we've had to make for that to assure her. So other than that, no. For years, there was no change. She didn't give a shit. No, she still doesn't give a shit. But that has changed. Every woman is different. But if your wife, your OLTR wife or girlfriend perceives the women you're having sex with as cute, but not super smoking hot, that's one thing. If they perceive the women as being super smoking hot Instagram models, okay, that's another thing. Especially if my wife is 43 years old. So now you're threatened by younger women. So if these women are all in their 20s, that's another level of threat. So those kinds of things. But that all started with the Dubai thing. Had we never moved to Dubai, we would never had a problem. So that's the only way in which it's changed. That's it. And as always, I don't sleep with that many women anymore. I don't want to. I'm too busy working. I'm in my 50s. I don't need to do that. I still see women all the time, on a regular basis, and I will forever. But it's the sheer amount of numbers of FBs I have now as compared to when I first started seeing Pink Firefly back when we were dating. So what maybe 7 years ago is lower. Yeah. Okay, you're talking about someone specifically here, but you're not asking who she is. Let me read this question really quick, and I'll see if I can address it. Okay, yeah. Boy, I got to be careful about this. So he's asking about someone in particular. There was someone in the last few weeks in the Instagram model OnlyFans world who died. And she's dead now, so I can say this. You asking the question, I never had sex with this person, but I do know who this person is, and I could have because it was offered. And the reason I said no is because, and you're asking about this, when it comes to plastic surgery on women, okay, specifically below the neck, okay, to me, this is my opinion. Now, this is an alpha male 2.0. It's just Caleb's opinion. Every man's going to have a different opinion about this, okay? This is my opinion. I'm a pig. I like big tits and big ass. That's what I like, okay? So there's 3 levels of plastic surgery. Again, particularly from the neck down. Level 1 would be, it looks fake, but it's not, but it's normal sized. So there are women who have fake boobs, but it's like a C cup. They're not big. They're just normal sized. They were flat and they wanted some boobs, and now they have a perfectly good looking C cup. So they're not big. They look perfectly normal. But if you see them naked, you can tell they look fake because they look a little too perfect, right? Fake boobs look a little different than real boobs, even if they're good real boobs, right? They just do. So that's category one. Then there's category two, which is it's fake and it's big and it's exaggerated. So that's when a woman has a body that looks like a superhero in a comic book, right? Big boobs, big ass, little waist, flat six-pack abs, right? It's exaggerated. Now, my wife is in this category. Her butt is small, but her boobs are large. They're triple D. But they don't look weird big. They don't look like, what the fuck is wrong with you? They look like, she looks like a superhero comic book girl. They're hot. They look good. And they're clearly fake, but they're perfect. My wife has perfect tits. Pink Firefly has the most perfect tits in the world, and I would know. So I like that. I like fake and small, or fake and average size. I like fake and exaggerated, and big, but exaggerate. Now there's the third level where you look mentally ill, and it's the person you're talking about. I'm not going to mention names, where, and I've seen women do this. And if you live in places like Los Angeles, Dubai, maybe various places, even places, some parts of London, you'll see this where you'll see a woman imagine a woman with a flat chest, okay? Flat chest, six-pack abs, very physically fit. And she's attached two gigantic beach balls onto her chest. Not boobs, giant beach balls, right? And same thing with her ass. She has a flat ass or a normal size ass, but she's attached two giant beach balls onto her ass. And now there's skin over them. That looks stupid. It looks like you're mentally ill and you have a problem, you need therapy, because it doesn't look like boobs. It looks like two beach balls. And I like big, big, big tits. Daddy loves big titties. Daddy loves big A's. Hell yeah. But it has to look like an ass. And so there's a level at which it doesn't look like an ass anymore. It looks like two big beach balls. I don't like that. And there's been various scenarios of various women, not various, I don't want to overstate this, but one or two times where I had the opportunity to be with women who look like that. I can't do it. Even I have standards. I just can't go there. I know a lot of women who know this woman that you're referring to, and who are a lot of her closer. Matter of fact, when this woman passed away a few weeks ago, I wasn't sure it was true, so I actually texted the woman who wanted me to hook up with this woman, a mutual friend who I did hook up with, and I said, "Hey, is it true that so-and-so died?" And she goes, "Yes, it's horrible. I can't believe it." And I said, "How'd she die?" And she goes, I don't know yet." And as soon as I found out this person had passed away, my first thought was, I bet she passed away on the operating table. I bet she went in and got another stupid surgery and she died from the surgery. And I was right. I don't know if it depends when you wrote this question, but that's exactly what happened. This woman died getting another stupid surgery. Mentally ill, you need therapy. There are a lot of mentally ill people running around who need to address it who aren't. And it's sad. And I agree on the plastic surgery thing. I've mentioned this, I think, on the past AMA. There's a line at which there's a fine line or a gray line between big and exaggerated and you look fucking weird and you look gross. And I don't know what that line is. That line's different for every man. There are some men, believe it or not, I can't believe this. There are some men who would look at Pink Firefly's boobs and go, those are too big. I don't know what the fuck you're smoking, but okay. But then, you go bigger and bigger and bigger and eventually you look weird. And there are some fucking weirdos who probably think this person, I'm not gonna mention names, was probably hot. I don't know. She had a lot of followers. She's pretty famous, wasn't she? Very beautiful person. Nice person by all accounts. Very pretty face. No doubt about that. But she didn't look human. So there you go. It's kind of sad. And then more water. Hang on. What are your thoughts on the stigma around HSV-2 genital herpes? Is society becoming more accepting of it? Yes, it is actually. I got diagnosed last year and worried it will affect my future dating life. Okay, here's the deal. Women don't care and men don't care. Trust me. A lot of guys in my audience and a lot of women I know, not that I've had sex with, have herpes too. No one cares. You will be shocked at how little women give a shit about this. They don't care. Every guy, when they get herpes too, feels like his life is over and he cries. And then a year or two later, he's perfectly fine dating chicks. It's not a big deal. They don't care. They don't give a shit. I think it was, for the record, I do not have herpes. I don't have anything. I think it was Gavin McInnes, of all people. I think he said this because he has herpes. I think it was him who said, here's the deal on herpes. When you get herpes, now this is herpes 2. Herpes 1, everyone has that. If you've kissed more than 5 women in your life, you have herpes 1, but no one cares about this. This is herpes 2, the scary one. You get breakouts on your genitals, right? He described it pretty funny when he goes, here's what happens. You get herpes and you get a breakout and the first one's horrible and it's bad. It's really bad. Then you wait a few months, you have a second breakout and it's bad. Then you don't have anything for like 2 or 3 years. Then you have one little one. Then you have nothing for like 10 years. Then you have a little one and then you die. So no, it's not a big deal. People don't care. You can only give it if you're actually, going through a breakout. But Caleb, they're shedding. Yeah, but again, you only have breakouts once. I've said this before. I have known married couples where the woman has herpes, the man doesn't, and they've been married 15 years. And the man still doesn't have it because she hasn't had a breakout in 15 years. Just how this works. Your body adjusts. So it's not a big deal. It's not good. Wear condoms, you idiots. Okay? If you're really terrified, I've done this once. We were dealing with someone questionable, not in a long time, not since I've been married, but I've talked about this where I would wear my underwear, poke my dick out through the hole in the underwear, and then put a condom on it so there's no contact whatsoever. You can do shit like that if you want, but wear condoms, don't be stupid. You don't want herpes. But if you have it, sucks when you get it. I understand. Got to be careful for a few months, but then you're fine. Hi, Caleb. How do you go about dating a new FBs? Do you tell them straight away you have a wife or do you wait? I tell everyone straight away immediately. That's my style. There's 2 ways to do this. One is my style, Outcome Independent Alpha Male 2.0. You just fucking tell them. Second style that some guys do when they're married and have OLTRs is they tell them on or at right after the first date, but before they have sex. Then they break it to them. You know me, I don't give a fuck. I tell everybody everything. So as a matter of fact, pink firefly is hot. So I show them a picture. And sometimes that even actually helps me because a lot of my FBs now in the past who want to fuck my wife. It's great. So no, I tell them, here's me and my wife. Here's me and my wife in Vegas. And here's pictures of me and my wife in Valdez. And no, I tell them right off the bat. And I stick with younger women. So when I say younger women in their 20s, my FBs are, let's see. I don't have any really young girls anymore. I don't date 18, 19-year-olds anymore because I'm a little too old for that. In my opinion, that's just me. So all my FBs are between their mid-20s and early 30s. Most of them in their mid to late 20s. And women that young don't care. They don't care if you're married. They don't care. Okay? Now, when they're over 33, they care. Their head will explode. But younger girls don't give a shit. What is your highest, lowest, and average Oura Ring sleep score? I am always in the 90s, always. Rarely am I below 89. Rarely. I just checked this morning. I was at 95. I've never been past 96, and the reason for that is the timing score. I don't exactly adhere to the timing score, but I don't give a fuck. So it's usually between 89 and 95. The only time it's not is when I'm traveling and I'm jet lagged. That's different. Outside of that, and I get right back to my 89, 95, low to mid 90s because I do everything right. I wear earplugs. I put mouth tape on. If there's somewhere bright, I put something over my eyes. I have a fan blowing on me. I have the exact amount of blankets. And I do everything right. My room is totally dark. And I do everything right. Sleep is one of the most important, if not the most important thing you can do with your body. 8 hours of sleep a night. Some of you 7, but no less than 7. You get less than 7 hours of sleep, you're an idiot. You're just stupid at this point. Especially if you know my content well. You're just, what the fuck are you doing? Did you ever suspect you snored or mouth breathed particularly when you were heavier? I didn't suspect, I know, because women would tell me. So yes, when I was fatter, I would snore more. And that's just, yeah, you gain weight, you're gonna snore more. Not just gain weight, but if you get bigger, buffer, you start lifting weight stuff, you get a big thick neck, same thing, you're gonna start snoring more, even if you're fit. So yeah, oh yeah. When I lost weight, I snored less. Yeah. Mouth tape also helps. Losing weight and mouth tape will help your snoring if you sleep with somebody. Most of you don't, but I do. So. Caleb, I remember a few years ago, you had an old blog post for guys struggling with PE, premature ejaculation, and ED, erectile dysfunction. Then you totally ignored the subject after that. Okay, why did I totally ignore the subject? Because I've never had these problems. I can't speak on this topic because I've never experienced it. That's why, and I said that in that article. Hey, I've never had this problem, but I've heard from others, and here's my experience of talking to other people. I've never had ED in my life, except for the first time I had sex when I was a virgin, when I was a kid, and the first time I had sex after my 10-year marriage. 15 years ago. So there's 2 times in my life I had ED, but that was all mental, and I was over it next day. And I've never had premature ejaculation. If anything, I've had the opposite problem. It takes me too long. So I've never had these problems. So that's why I stopped talking about it. I only discuss things like I'm an expert on and have done myself. That's why. Let's see. Moving on to this question. But if you're a weirdo like me, if you don't watch porn at all and you hate it, you regularly exercise, you don't smoke anything, and you don't drink alcohol at all, or take any meds or drugs, that's great. What's your advice for guys struggling who have no interest in taking pharma meds, who didn't get PE from being addicted to porn, as some guys do? I think for me, sexual shaming may have something to do with it, as I didn't have sex for the first time a few days before turning 50, and that was 8 years ago. Bro, there's your problem. Okay, you just answered your own question. It's because you lost your virginity when you were 49 years old. That's why. Yes, you're right. That's your problem. Maybe it has something to do with the fact I haven't had sex until I was 49. If I'm reading your question right. Yeah, that's your issue, dude. You had a focus clients a couple years ago named Blank. Goes on names Blank. Yes. Who's the best person to interview this? Although you say you don't do interviews. Correct, I don't. Your problem is 100% mental. It is not physical for you. So you need to address this. Whatever you need to do to address therapy, whatever. Get a lot of resources online for this. Okay? You've narrowed it down to this. Your head. It's in your head. By the way, that's also a problem when women can't come. It's all mental. Rarely is it physical. For men, often it can be physical. But that's your problem. You were a virgin till you're 49. That is the record. I've never heard of a man lasting that long. I mean, I've spoken to some guys who were virgins in their early 30s. And I was like, whoa, you were 49 before you had sex the first time? A few days before you turned 50, and that was 8 years ago. And I've struggled since 2017 as I've refused to pay for sex. Okay. Okay, understand. You gotta deal with it. And this is not a topic I can help you with. And no, I don't do interviews. You have created an amazing and very complex/complicated structure for your life. I am referring to 5 flags. Yes, 5 flags is complicated, true. I apologize in advance, but I believe I would be right in saying that neither PF may not have the logical capability to understand this structure. And I am not sure you have shared the structure in the entirety with PF for your legal safety reasons in the event of an unfortunate divorce. Neither would your son or daughter be really in a position to grasp this entirely. Incorrect, my son would. So let me address that first. We're going on with your question. You are correct. Pink Firefly has no interest. When I start talking about 5 flags, her eyes glass over and she doesn't comprehend, doesn't care, doesn't give a shit. Same thing with my daughter. This is because they are girls. Most women are not going to give a shit about this stuff, right? When you say 5 flags and do a video on 5 flags on YouTube, are you dealing with mostly women or mostly men who watch the video? Let's be honest, it's mostly men. This is a male topic. So yes, correct. It's not that I have not discussed these things because I don't want her to know what I have. And no, I don't care. She can't touch my money if there's a divorce, and she knows it. She could know everything. She knows a few things, but she can't do shit about it. So yes, you're right, but you're right. But my son could. My son does some 5 flag stuff. He's location dependent and multiple flags. He does all that stuff. So moving on to this question. So I always wish you well, however. God forbid an unfortunate event in your untimely demise. Oh, if I died, okay. Have you structured 1, continuity of your Alpha 2.0 business for your followers, a succession plan, 2, for your kids and PF to get the benefit of your vast empire, inheritance? I do not have a vast empire. I thank you for the compliment. I don't have an empire that I consider vast. I do okay, but I don't think it's vast. So I have trusts and wills for my kids and my wife. Yes, obviously. Continuity for my AF2 business and followers, succession plan. I do not have anything like that now because I follow the 2% rule. What are the odds I'm going to die? I'm 51. What are the odds I'm going to die anytime soon? Well less than 2%. Therefore, I don't care. So I don't have anything like that. When I get older, I will have to address this. When I get, post age 65, if I'm still doing this kind of shit, probably not, but let's say I am, I'll have to address that. Yeah. Why the super FB? Sounds counterintuitive, like a Bush League OLTR wife. Totally incorrect. It is literally nothing like an OLTR or an OLTR wife. You can't be more incorrect. Either you're reacting emotionally, being irrational, or you didn't understand what I was saying about that. A super FB is an FB who doesn't live with you and you don't date. How is that an OLTR or an OLTR wife? Sounds counterintuitive. Well, I said this when I talked about this. I would bet money you're under the age of 35. So if you're a young, horny guy, you're like, why would you limit yourself to just 2 women? That's stupid. You wouldn't if you're under the age of 35, which I bet you are. I'm an old man. I'm Black Dragon. I have lived every sexual fantasy I've ever had in my life with multiple women over the past 15 years. The number of women I've been and the quality of women I've been with is beyond my original fantasies and past most of your fantasies. And I'm being literal about this. I've done everything. Been there, done that. I don't need to keep doing that the rest of my life. This is the time of my life where I need to focus on my work, my business empire, my finances. I don't want to fuck a bunch of chicks. That's why I want this for myself at this time in my life. It does not apply to you if you're a younger man, and it should apply to you. As a matter of fact, you should not do a super FB. You should not do that unless you're an old fucker like me and you have banged a lot of women and lived all your sexual fantasies over a period of many decades like I have. Cool? So I'm telling you what I'm doing for me. I'm not recommending something you should do. And you're totally wrong. It's nothing like a Bush League OLTR wife. Would you agree with the saying, show me a beautiful woman and I'll show you a guy that's tired of banging her? Yes, generally I agree with that statement. I'm going to add to it though. So first of all, yes, men need sexual variety. So you'll see that when men have a super smoking hot wife or girlfriend and they cheat on her, it's often a woman who looks very different than her. The ultimate example of that is Hugh Grant from the 90s. Those of you old enough to remember that. Hugh Grant was married to Elizabeth Hurley, who was the most beautiful woman, the most beautiful celebrity of the 90s. Insane perfect 10. Not my type of woman, but insane perfect 10. And he got caught fucking an overweight, fat, black prostitute in a car. And people are like, why would he do that? People who don't understand men and male sexual psychology. He's married to this beautiful woman. Why the fuck would he do it? Because men need variety. So they need whatever they don't get. That's why monogamy doesn't work. So you don't want to limit yourself to one physical type. You want other physical types, don't you? Right? So yes, a guy who has a perfect 10 girlfriend and he's stupid enough to be monogamous and he can only fuck her over and over and over again, yeah, he's going to get tired of her. Now, let me throw one more piece there. He doesn't want her to leave. He might be tired of fucking her, and he might cheat on her, and he will if it's an alpha male 1.0. Even if he's a beta male eventually, beta males cheat too. It just takes them longer. He doesn't want her to leave. Men want women to stay forever and not leave. So, yes, he wants to fuck other women. Yes, he might be tired of fucking her, but it's not like he wants her to leave and get a new girl. That's what women do. See, when women get tired of fucking a guy, they dump his ass and get a new guy. Men don't do that. Men get tired of fucking their wife, and they want their wife or girlfriend to stay there forever while they go fuck other women and quietly, and they hope they don't get caught. Okay? Would you be turned off if Pink Firefly exercised her option to sleep with another man? No, I would not. She has the option to do it, and she hasn't done it. Now, we've been together a long time. We've been here 8 years. We haven't been as serious all 8 years I discussed earlier. So various things happened a long time ago, but she has no interest doing this right now. She doesn't. If she wanted to do it, no, I would not be turned off. No, I would not. I'd be like, did he wear a condom? Yes. Okay. I don't care. I've been in relationships where women did fuck other guys. I don't care. I have bigger things to worry about. I'm focused on my mission, my 5 flags, my other women, my amazing life. And if men are worried about what their woman might do in their spare time when they're not there, that means to me you have nothing as much going on in your life. Find a mission, find a purpose, build your Alpha 2.0 business, bang other women, travel the world. When you live an amazing life, you don't give a fuck. Gene Simmons talks about this all the time. The guy that worries about whether or not his girl will cheat on him is the guy who only has that girl. Guys who are banging 50 smoking hot girls don't give a fuck. He's right. He's right. So, now, moving on to this guy's question, where are you in the compersion scale? I am very low. I'm very accommodating. I don't care. So if you're happy, that doesn't make me happy. If you're sad, that doesn't make me sad. I'm very low. I don't have a lot of empathy. So maybe that helps my non-jealousy. Probably does. Hey, Caleb, what are the downsides of doing non-monogamy the way you teach? Clearly, you believe in it and you advocate for it. But realistically, it must both have pros and cons. Yes, I've discussed the cons many times. So being 100% honest, what are the cons you've seen it? There are several cons. I've been honest about this and I've talked about this, although probably not lately. The challenge, the cons with following my relationship models is that it is more work up front and it is more complex up front. Long term, it's better. But up front, it's a lot more work. So what does the typical dumb shit do when he dates a girl? He fucks her a few times, then he looks at his own arm and says, oh man, I think we should stop seeing other people. Because he gets one-itis, right? He doesn't want to fuck other guys. I think we should stop. She would have just be exclusive. She goes, okay. And then that's it. Now you're boyfriend and girlfriend, you're exclusive, you're done. Takes 10 seconds, right? Follow my model, you have all these three, you have to do the EFA phase, the implicit phase, Queen of the Hill phase, takes 3 months, gotta have the talk, can't do certain things, you have the cardinal rules. It's a lot more complicated up front. And lazy guys will, and I've had guys say this, oh fuck, I'll just get monogamous and have all the problems. Yeah, if you're a lazy fuck and you don't mind drama and happiness is not a priority for your life, go the easy route and have lots of problems. Just like Yoda said, the dark path is easier. It's the dark path, you won't be happy, but it is easier. So the downside of my relationship models is they are more work up front and they're more complex up front. Long term, they're 10 times better. You have 3-4 MLTRs in rotation or 2 MLTRs and 3 FBs or no, you're gonna be one of the happiest men on earth. But getting up to that point, it's going to take some time and effort that your brother, your best friend doing stupid monogamy doesn't have to worry about. He just has to worry about, the woman dumping him and he cries for 6 months, gets depressed, he gets angry. Let's see. Caleb, what can I do to ease the jealousy felt by my MLTRs? I kind of feel bad that my dating other women caused them such unpleasant emotions. I just did a YouTube video on my Alpha Male 2.0 channel about this, about feeling guilty about being non-monogamous. You need to watch that video. And I'd like to reduce it both out of kindness to them and to make them less likely to leave me. If you don't have methods to reduce their jealousy, then at least a perspective to help me feel less bad about causing it. Thanks. So first, the perspective, watch that video. You just go feeling bad about being monogamous, find out my channel. I go through the whole thing. Do I have methods of making women less jealous? Yes, they're called the cardinal rules. The cardinal rules reduce the amount of jealousy women feel. I don't know if you're following all the cardinal rules, about 9 of them. You have to be doing all 9, especially the one about only seeing them once a week and contacting them rarely. You can respond to contact, but rarely initiate contact. Those, plus a whole bunch of other ones. Being congruent to type of, these things keep jealousy low. The way you create more jealousy in non-monogamy is you act like a boyfriend or the typical guy she's dated and you see her several times a week and you're texting her every day and you're fucking other women. That raises the jealousy, okay? So cardinal rules, if you do all of them, that will drive their jealousy down to the lowest possible levels, number 1. Number 2, FBs generally don't get jealous, generally speaking. There are exceptions, but generally FBs don't get jealous. MLTRs get jealous. That's part of the deal. It's part of having an MLTR. It is the norm in an MLTR for her to feel some jealousy. If you encounter an MLTR who feels no jealousy whatsoever, that's unusual. I've experienced maybe 2 of those women in my entire life. I've had lots of MLTRs. 2 women I could think of. Well, God, not even 2. 1, maybe 1.5, who were not jealous at all. That's weird. So that's just the norm. And if you want detail on how you should feel about that, go back and watch that video. The bottom line on that is she can dump you whenever she wants without any negativity from you, right? So women leave us, alpha male 2, we don't care. Okay, thank you. I understand. I want you to feel happy. Good. She can leave you whenever she wants. So she's choosing to stay with you. She's choosing these feelings. Okay? She can dump your ass whenever she wants. And statistically, she will listen pity and then come back, where it goes. Caleb, although you don't claim to be a dating coach, you could consider me a dating coach. I teach dating skills. I'm just a lot of other things. So I could be considered a dating coach, sir. I don't consider myself a pickup artist because I'm not. I'm not a pickup artist. But dating coach, you could apply that moniker to me if you wanted to. 7 years ago in your old blog, wow, you got a good memory. You had an interesting 3-part article aimed at guys who are African American, Middle Eastern, and Asian. Oh, God. Okay, I already know what this question is going to be. I already know. I can see this coming. You're going to ask me, what else can I do? Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm right about this. Maybe I'm wrong. On what they need to get on top of to get much better with women. That's something most other dating coaches usually ignore. And while many white Caucasian women love black cock, so that African or African American guys are okay, unless there are 9 or 10 in good looks, it's much tougher for Indian and Asian guys to sexually attract Caucasian. Okay, you're a whiny bitch. You think black guys are totally fine dating white girls, but Asian and Indian guys are fucked? You should talk to black guys. Wrong. Dating outside of your race, unless you're white, is a challenge. Doesn't matter what color you are if you're non-white. So you're a whiner. It's not true. Not true. Okay, moving on. It's much tougher for Indian and Asian guys to sexually attract white Caucasian women who can be and are quite racist towards these guys. Oh my God, you're such a baby. And or just don't find them sexually or physically attractive, even if they're financially independent. Correct, they don't. And if you read my articles, you know why they don't. How does a typical Indian guy, not all Indian guys, not 100%, but let's be honest, the typical average Indian guy who moves to the West, how does he behave? Is he a cool alpha male? Is he cool and outcome independent and has strong game and confidence? No. He's a complete dork with women. He's needy and awkward and weird. Why is that attractive? Of course it's not attractive, right? Asian guys, we'll talk about this. There are 2 categories of, I'm generalizing, not all Asian men are like this. But when you have Asian guys, a bunch of Asian guys together, there's 2 basic archetypes you see with Asian guys living in the West. The first one is nerd. Nerd who loves his computer and coding and Star Wars, okay? And then there's super spastic, silly Asian clown who's laughing and joking around and talking really loud all the time. And are either of these attractive? No. So men are choosing to be this way. You don't have to be this way, right? So far you're just complaining. Where's your question? With many Middle Eastern, Indian, and Pakistani guys being lazy and opting for arranged marriages that are so prevalent in their cultures, you just proved my point. They're choosing to be lazy and not doing the things I say they need to do to get good at women. So you just proved my fucking point. You just said Middle Eastern, Indian, and Pakistani, which I assume you are, I don't know what race you are lazy. Like, but women don't like us because you're fucking lazy. You just said it. Fucking baby. Opting for arranged marriages that are so prevalent in their cultures, do you think what you wrote still stands, or do you have any new tips to offer these ethnic guys? There you go. Did I call that shit or what? I can anticipate the question before I read the question. Is there anything else I can do? No. Go back and read those articles and do what they fucking tell you to do. Let me see if I can summarize it. If you're a black guy, so it's black guy, Asian guys, and Indian guys. They didn't talk about Middle Eastern. Black guys, bring it down. Calm the fuck down. Yo, bitch, you can't do that shit. Bring it down about 40%. Okay, your black guys are confident, which is good, but they're extremely overbearing and outcome independent. I'm generalizing, okay? Not all black guys. Bring it down and snap up the dress. Dress better. I've said many times, the only guys that have outgamed me with women, who've taken women away from me that I was trying to get, the only ones in my entire life were cool, chill, well-dressed black guys. Okay, black guys are killers when they calm down, relax, stay quiet, and dress up nicely. They're great. Okay, that's what you need to do. Asian guys. If you're a spastic, silly Asian guy, shut the fuck up. If you're a nerdy Asian guy, confidence up. Raise the confidence. Be more like a black guy. Okay, you need to raise it 40%. And Asian guys are skinny and little. Go to the gym, eat a lot of protein, eat more food, get big muscles. White women have told me they like Asian guys when they're buff because they have no body hair. Get more muscles, okay, beef up. Indian guy, therapy. It is the worst sexual cultural programming in the world is India. Worse than the Middle East. Worse than Asia, worse than anywhere you can think of. You need to deprogram yourself from all the bullshit your mom and your dad and your culture have taught you about women and sex and dating, and you need to that means therapy. In many cases, I'm sorry, but it needs therapy. I've worked with a lot of Indian guys in my audience who got therapy and it helped. Therapy. Address that. Stop being a dork. Stop being lazy. Stop being needy. I know you can't just stop. Work on it. Therapy, whatever else you do. Okay? Inner game, all that stuff. Okay? There you go. And stop bitching about white girls being racist. Are you kidding? You know how many white women I have known, dated and or known, who love fucking Asian guys? Asian guys. Black guys. My last Asian girlfriend before Pink Firefly loved black guys. Okay? And yes, Indian guys. I've met several women who like Indian guys, smart Indian guys who don't act like dorks and are not lazy, yes, they're out there. But with your attitude, you don't find them because to you, they're all racist. Do you have any business or investments with OLTRs? No, do not do that. That's insane. If your wife is really good, has a really good profitable business, but needs help, how do you suggest getting involved? I would suggest you don't get involved. I would suggest you leave that separate. Never do any investments. OLTR means 100% separation of finances. You have no joint ventures, no joint. Pink Firefly have no joint checking accounts, no joint investments, no joint billing, like our cell phone accounts. It's all separate. Everything's separate, separate, separate. You got to do that. Okay. So no. If she's really good, profitable business, but needs help, why does she need help if she has a really good, profitable business? I think you're just emotionally wanting to help her. If you want to help her in her business, just give her some advice, go ahead. Beyond that, no, I wouldn't do it. She could work. You could work together. Pink Firefly works in the Sovereign CEO company in a limited capacity. It's fine. But beyond that, no. How important would you say martial arts and the ability to defend yourself are in a man's development? It's very important. It's not essential. Is it essential? Here we go. Is it essential like a lot of manosphere guys think, or does that fall in the 2% rule and therefore martial arts should be thought of as great exercise? Thank you for everything you've done, and you are by far my best red pill creator. You have made a tremendous impact on my life. I can't thank you enough. You're very welcome. Cool. Is martial arts important? Yes. Is it essential? No, it's not essential. You don't have to learn martial arts. One of my first YouTube videos, way back 3 years ago, was the problem with most men today, they've never been in a fight. Most men today have never been in a fight. And you can see the difference when you're a little kid or even high school or even an adult, where you see two men about to get into an altercation and one guy brings up his fist and the other guy does that thing where the whole body contorts. That's someone who's never been in a fight in his entire life. Okay, that's really fucking bad in my opinion. Do you need to learn martial arts? Is it essential? No, it's not essential. Sex and money are essential. Martial arts is really important and helps a lot. So I have a background in martial arts. I've talked about this in my books and stuff. It wasn't called MMA back then. It was called Full Contact. I've gotten my ass kicked. I've been literally bloody, draining blood off the mat as I walked off the mat. That's happened. I've gotten my ass kicked. I kicked other people's asses. I've been in fights because I have a martial arts background when I was young. There's a reason my ears look like this. Okay, I have cauliflower ears because martial arts for many years. My son was in an AMA for several years. Loved it. Good for him. Excellent. Yes, I think it's important for men to know how to fight and don't be afraid if someone's about to punch you. Okay. If you're scared of getting hit, that's bad. That's very beta. Okay. I'm not scared of this. Don't care. But is it essential? You must do it as a requirement? No. There are other things that are requirements. If you're over the age of 35, you need to lift weights or do resistance training. You have to do that. You have to exercise. That's required. You need sex, several times a month. That's required. There are requirements, but martial arts would be a strongly recommended component, not a requirement. If a girl has a car or has access to a car regularly and she's forward about the fact that she wants you to drive and pick her up every other time you want her to come over, as in she drove to and from your place one week, and the next week she feels it should be your turn to pick her up and drop her back, and this becomes routine. Is this a ridiculous request on her part, or am I being unreasonable in thinking it is? How would you handle that? Okay. Is it a ridiculous request? No, it's actually very fair. It's very masculine guy fair. Well, 50% of the time I'll drive and 50% you pick me up. No, that's not ridiculous. Now, the issue is not, is it ridiculous? The issue is, do you want it in your life or not? I don't care what's ridiculous or not. I care about what I want and what I don't want. So one of the rules I had for many years was, for dating purposes, I will not go on any dates. I will not meet any women or date any women who are more than a 50-minute radius drive from my house. 50 minutes. If she's more than 50 minutes away, I would say no. I'd look online. If she was an hour, she'd say, oh, I'm in this town. It's an hour and 20 minutes away. No, it's too far. I'm not going to do it. Okay. Well, I'll come in. No, I'm not going to do it. So that's an example. I don't want to fuck around with women that far away. So I've had relationships in the past where I drove women around, but they didn't drive. You're saying she has a car. So that's the bottom line. If you hate it, just say, no, I don't like that. I want to do this. If you don't want to do that, I understand, but I'll be seeing you less often. So the issue is not, is it ridiculous? Is it a ridiculous request? The issue is, do you like it or not? Now, she may say, well, that's not fair. You might say, okay, it's not fair. I don't want it. Okay. And again, alpha male 2.0s do not tell women to do. They don't say, okay, no, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that. You just say, no, I'd rather not do that. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather do this. If that's a deal breaker for you, I completely understand, but I want to do it. So too. When a former high-end MLTR returns after a long listen fitty, what is the vibe between the two of you like? Is the previous level of closeness gone forever and it feels like you're starting from scratch with a whole new relationship, or do you instantly or gradually fall back into the old dynamic you once shared together? You know what? It depends on the scenario and it depends on the woman. I've had both those things. I've had all different scenarios. I've had some where they come back and it's colder. I've had some come back and it's more like an FB thing. I've had some come back and you roll right into the feelings, the passion again. I've had some come back and it's even better. It's even more. That's what happened to me in Pink Firefly. She was an FB. She came back and she was an MLTR. We were like, ooh, we really like each other now. So I've had all the different scenarios. It depends on the girl. And frankly, it depends on the woman. It depends on her age. Depends on where she is in life. So timing is a big factor. And depends on where you are. A lot of it depends on you, where you are in your life. Maybe you're in a different place in life 2 years later or a year later after Elizabeth than you were before, right? So I've had all scenarios. There is no normal. It depends on the woman, which is fine. That's why you should date more than one. Do you verbalize to women up front somewhere at the start of the relationship that you don't do drama? What do you think? Are you fucking kidding? That's a very dumb question. Or do you wait until they start throwing drama at you and then later you tell them? Okay, when do you think I tell women I don't do drama? I never say that. Even when they do it, I just soft next. So no. Look, I don't do this and I don't do that. And when we date, I expect this and I expect that. That's what? Is that alpha male 2.0? No, that's alpha male 1.0. So I never talk about this. Unless we have a discussion and it's a deep relationship we've had for months, high-end MLTR, long-term, and then we have a discussion about it, sure. Show women through your actions what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate, not your words. That's very beta, including when alpha male 1.0s do it. They do it a lot. Telling a woman, this is what I want and this is what I expected. This is to me, that's very beta. Shut the fuck up and do it. Teach people through your actions what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. And they will learn really quick. I've said this many times. Women are very smart about this stuff. They learn really fucking fast. It's not like you have to train them like a dog. Women learn this stuff faster than men learn this stuff. Women get it quick, what you'll put up with and what you won't, without you saying a goddamn word, as long as you're congruent and alpha 2.0 about this. Okay? I never lecture women like this. Stupid. Let's see. How do you tell women that you don't want to see her again for a second date? I rarely do. I just let them go. I just don't text back, or I don't hit her up again. If she doesn't text me, so usually after a first date, you're going to have to text her to continue the conversation, right? Usually she doesn't text you first. Sometimes she does. That's called the ultimate IOI. It's good. But usually that's not the case. Usually you got to hit her up again. Usually, not always, okay? I just don't do it. I just don't. And if she hits me up, I say, hey, and we talk, and I just don't ask her out for a second date again. And I've never had a problem with that. No. What is your favorite sex position? I'm very vanilla. I'm very boring. I'm not boring, but I'm not into kinky, weird, crazy shit like swing on the chandelier and role play and, BDSM and all that fun shit a lot of you guys are into. I'm very normal. I like missionary. I like doggy. I like the basics. I'm a back to basics guy. I am so excited during sex. I'm having such a great time. Most of my brain shuts off. So for me to do complex positions is difficult for me because I'm in another world. So I just rock and roll, baby. Would you say Badoo is better across the board than Bumble in Eastern Europe? My answer is perhaps. I don't want to make generalizations about Eastern Europe. Perhaps. Bumble is valid, but Badoo, probably. So I'm going to say probably, perhaps, probably. Very hard question. I don't know the solid answer to that question, but I'm going to say probably. Yeah. What is the breakdown in terms of percentage of women, Western women today, who are age 18 to 29, who are type 1, type 2, and type 3? I give the breakdown percentages of my books, although it has changed. I don't remember what those are off the top of my head. It has changed. You have more type 2s, more type 3s. You have less type 1s. It is becoming more of a cultural norm in the Western world for younger women to date and fuck much older men. There are many cultural reasons for that, and mostly financial reasons for that. The worse the finances get, the worse the economies get around the Western world. As the Western world continues to collapse, more and more attractive younger women will be clinging to older guys with money. That's going to become more, and I predicted that 15 years ago, and I was right. I said, I can see the writing on the wall. Right now, this is weird, but 15 years from now, shit. When I started dating much younger women in 2008, it was hard. If you were 40 trying to hook up a 19-year-old girl without paying her, that was hard work. I did it. Did a lot, but I had to work hard. Is it hard now? No. It's not hard now. It's easier. Maybe it's not easy, but it's easier. So the exact percentage breakdowns I couldn't give you. But as I said in the Younger Woman book, which I wrote many years ago, I said, as time goes on, you'll have more type 2s and more type 3s and less type 1s. There are still a lot of type 1s out there. So if you guys didn't know, type 1 is she will never date an older man ever, no matter what, ever. It doesn't matter how good you look, doesn't matter how much money you give her, doesn't matter if you get her, she will not do it, period in a story. Type 2s only date older guys, prefer older guys. They hate men her own age. They can't stand men her age. They want much older men, and the older the better. Type 3s do not care about your age. They will gravitate toward men their age because that's who's around, but they don't care about a man's age. Older, younger, her age, she doesn't give a shit, but she still dates men her own age because that's who she hangs out with. I have found that if you have a good enough profile on Tinder and some other apps, many girls are more than willing to come over to your house directly, saving you the hassle of meeting them out first. If you want to get a girl to come to your place directly, what's the best way to pitch that to her? If she says no, you can always fall back on meeting out in public instead, right? That is not the model that I teach. And you're right, under certain conditions, especially if the women are under the age 23, which I suspect you're talking about, yes, you can get them to come right over to your house. Sure, that is very doable. The reason I don't teach that is A, that's a lot harder than getting them to meet somewhere not at your place, number one. Number two, if you get them over to your place on that first initial meet, you're going to experience a lot more ASD and LMR. I'm using a lot of pickup artist terms. That means a lot more resistance to having sex. You're getting a lot more resistance to having sex than if you follow my system, where you meet her out somewhere for an hour, spend little to no money, then have her come to your place for the second date the day or two later. That's why I don't teach that model. So in terms of what can you say to a girl to get her to go over right to your place, I can't advise that because that's not the model I teach. There are lots of other guys that teach that. You can ask them. Have I ever gotten women to come over to my place? Of course I have. But those are exceptions to the rule. If she says no, you can always fall back and meet her out instead, right? Yes, if she's under the age of 23. If she's older, you run the risk of her saying, no, this guy's a pig and wanted to fuck me on the first date. I'm not going to see him. No. So you run the risk of them saying no completely. So another reason why I don't teach that model. Now, nothing wrong with that model, but that model is a lower ROI model. It's a high work, low results model, which that's why I don't like it. So there you go. If you pitch the date first and she balks, is that risky in that it will cause her to completely disappear? Same guy asked a different question. Maybe I should only pitch this coming straight to my place if she's under 25, under 23. So you're on the right track. Yes, you do risk that under 23. ASD is minimized for women between the age of 18 and 23, 18 to 22, somewhere in there. So with those, you can try those things and they don't blow you out of the water. If she's over 23 and every year she's over 23, the higher ASD grows, the more you'll piss her off if you try to fuck her on the first date, quote unquote. So yes, correct. That is the way that works. When the time eventually comes to have the talk with a girl, what is the best way to deliver the non-monogamy message in a way that isn't overly reliant on guy logic talk? Good question. My experience suggests that throwing divorce statistics and logical arguments won't really register with a woman. Correct. Any tips for this conversation would be appreciated. First of all, what you should do is get my books. There's the Ultimate Open Relationship Manual at haveopenrelationships.com. Then there is the Ultimate Open Marriage Manual at open-marriage.com. The talk is covered in that first book, and I give you detailed instructions on exactly how to do it. So you really should get that book. You get the audio book, whatever you want. Detailed instructions where I give you a very precise model to follow, a very precise structure, and it avoids guy logic. You're correct. So I will summarize the answer. The summarized answer is, let me get a drink of water, hang on. Leave it on a cliffhanger for a second. The summarized answer is that you create a Disney sandwich. Okay, here's how the Disney sandwich works. You start with Disney, you give her the negative, and then you end with Disney to make a Disney sandwich. So the negative is sandwiched between Disney. So you start with Disney. I really like you. You are very special to me. I think about you a lot. Whenever I know I'm going to see you, I can't wait to see you. I love spending time with you. I think you're really good together. And if it's true, don't lie, but if it's true, I see a future with us together. That's something I think I want with you, a long-term future. Again, if it's true. So Disney. Then you give her the negative. I am not monogamous. I will never be monogamous. That's not the kind of man I am. If you have a problem with that, I understand. I'll let you go, but I don't want to let you go because Disney, okay? I think you're special. I think you're wonderful. I think you are one of the most amazing women I've ever met in my life. And I see a future with us where if this works out, we could really build something really special. So you give her the Disney sandwich. Notice that is the opposite of logical. Monogamy doesn't work because I read on Caleb Jones's blog that the divorce rate is, no, that doesn't fucking work. And there are guys who pull that. Now, some of you think, well, why would you possibly say that to them? There are guys in my audience who do this shit, who start quoting statistics and said, Caleb Jones says, and I read this in the book, and if you read Sex at Dawn, no. And if you understand, no, you don't give women logic on this stuff. Okay, that's very dangerous and stupid. One of the biggest mistakes men make, I've made several YouTube videos about this, numerous articles about this. They use guy logic to communicate with women they're in romantic relationships with. That's stupid. No, that's not how women work. So, yeah. Good question. Your question shows you know what you're talking about and you understand the models. So that's good. If for some reason Pink Firefly hadn't followed you to Dubai, would you have continued your non-mono relationships? The dating scene in Dubai isn't your primary reason for being there, correct? Would you have multiple FBs and MLTRs, or would you establish OLTR with another woman in another country outside of the U.S.? So I think I've said this before. If Pink Firefly got hit by a bus tomorrow and was out of my life, or we got divorced or whatever, okay. So now she's gone for whatever reason. At this point in my life right now, and again, I'm talking about me, myself, at my age, at my point in my life. I am not talking about you. So what I'm about to say to you is going to be really weird. Go, why would you do that? You wouldn't do that if you're 25 or 32 or for me, or even 65. Okay, here's what I would do, Caleb would do at age 51, where Caleb is in his life right now. If I got divorced or she got hit by a car or she never moved with me to Dubai or whatever, here's what I would do. I would have FBs, pure FBs, and that's it. I mean, maybe 2 low-end MLTRs, if that, okay? That's it. I would not have anything beyond a low-end MLTR, probably just keep them as FBs. And I would do that for at least 5 years. And I would take all the time that would be freed up by me not being with my wife, and I would throw it in my business and my mission, and I would build my companies. That's what I would do. And then down the road, later in life, yes, probably when I was 60 or something, I would slowly ease back into MLTRs, and I would I would eventually end up with another OLTR again. Whether or not be an OLTR wife where I live with her or not, I don't know. But that would be 5+ years down the road. It'd be a long time. I'd focus on my work, get all that shit done, and then slowly, But during that time, I'd have FBs. Yeah, oh yeah. And I would see them more often because I would have no wife anymore. So that's how I would do. Again, it all depends. I've done many podcasts about this. What do you want in your life? What are your current plans? What are your long-term plans? How does your woman life fit into that? Develop your plans first, and then you plug your woman life into that. You don't figure out your woman life first and figure out your life around that. No. Women are the second or third or fourth most important thing in your life, not the first. That should be your mission. Okay? So that's how we do. What is the best thing love the most about Pink Firefly and the worst you hate the most about her? You know what is really interesting about that? It's the same thing. Isn't that weird? So, this is a recurring thing with me. I've had most of my alpha male 2.0 life, 15, 16 years now. The best thing I like about her is that she is so feminine and she is so pure, and she is so not pure in the religious, conservative, right-wing Christian sense, but pure in personality and the way that she looks at the world, childlike and feminine and feminine to the extreme. That really turns me on. I think it's wonderful. I think it's very special and very sweet and very cute and very hot all at the same time. The thing I don't like about her is that also, because there's negatives to that. The indirect communication, she's very emotional. She has a personality type called HSP, high sensitivity person, where she's very reactive, very outcome dependent, but it's all part of the same thing. So it's what I love about her and what I don't like. It's the same thing. And she might say something similar about me, I guess. I don't know. You have to ask her on her AMA. Let's see. Do you suggest indicating non-monogamous on an online dating profile? No, I absolutely do not suggest that at all. I think that is very terrible. That's going to get you nowhere quick. You don't say, I'm non-monogamous and I'm polyamorous and I date multiple women and blah, 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 blah. You know, that might work in certain extreme left-wingy areas like, you know, downtown San Francisco and maybe downtown Portland if you're only going after much younger girls under age 23. I mean, that's a lot of ifs, right? So no, you wouldn't. That will murder your response rates, murder your match rates. So no, you don't do that. As always, you do not discuss the parameters of the relationship until you're at least 3 months in. When you say, I'm non-monogamous, you're declaring that up front. That should be part of the talk, which should be 3 to 5 months plus into the relationship. This, again, is one of the biggest problems men have is they over-communicate. They talk about everything. They want to define everything and talk about the relationship. And I've said these days, in the modern era now, 50 years ago, it's the other way around. But in the modern era, 50, 40, whatever. In the modern era, men want to define the relationship first. Men want to lock the woman down first. It used to be 40 years ago, it used to be the woman trying to lock the man down. Now it's the men trying to lock the women down because, as we discussed earlier, men are more needy and feminine and pussy today. So there you go. So no. Let's see. Hi, Caleb. I'm short. I'm 5'7". 5'7" is not that short. It's shorter. You're right. But that's not that short. But yeah, okay. What's your advice for short guys? I'm getting decent results with women, but sometimes it comes back to my subconscious that I'm short and can't pull super hot girls. You just stated your problem, like the other guy earlier. Another goal of mine is to date women taller than me. Please, would love some advice. Thanks. You just stated your problem in the question. Sometimes men are very self-unaware, okay? I'm going to repeat what you said. I'm going to see if you can figure out your own problem. I'm getting decent results with women. So clearly you're getting dates and you're getting laid. So what's the fucking problem? The problem is you. Sometimes it comes back to my subconscious that I'm short and I can't pull super hot girls. It's purely here. Like that other guy lost his virginity age 49. Your problem is 100% in your fucking head. You're getting dates and you're getting laid. I know some short guys who pull ass like you would not believe. And the celebrity examples be guys like, Al Pacino, people like that. Neil Strauss was 5'7", wasn't he? 5'7"? I think it was 5'7", 5'8". Neil Strauss was a little short guy. He didn't have any problem getting laid, did he? Because he worked on his head. It's all in your fucking head, dude. No. Now, logistically, in terms of short guys, I've stated this before, shoe lifts / elevator shoes. There are various websites you can get shoes that look like normal shoes, and you can add 1 to 4 inches to your height, and you can't tell the shoe looks normal. Get those. You can also get on Amazon shoe lifts. You stick them in your shoes, and you have to loosen your laces a little bit. You can add 1 to 2 inches to your height. Okay. I used to do that a long time ago when I knew I was dating or going on a first date with a woman who was really tall. Okay. I don't do it anymore because I don't care. That's it. And then focus on women who are not super tall. So if you see online, if she's 5'10", maybe to avoid her. Now, you want to date super hot, tall girls? Another goal of mine is to date women taller than me. There are plenty of men out there, alpha males, who are short guys who date women taller than them. I've seen them. I've met them. I know them. Okay. Just do it. Confidence. Let's go back to the basics. This is how you get laid. This is for anybody, any man. Confidence, outcome independence, game skill, and putting in the numbers. Oh, and maximizing physical appearance, whatever is in your control. So if you're a short guy, get some shoe lifts, get some elevator shoes, add 1 or 2 inches. Now, here's what guys say. Won't they freak out once you take your shoes off and suddenly you drop down 4 inches? Well, if you're worried about that, don't go to 4 inches. Get 1 or 2 inches. They won't care. And again, as I've said thousands of times, once they have sex with you twice, they won't care. It's not like you take your shoes off and suddenly she screams and runs out of your house. It's not how that works. Okay? Try this shit before you say it won't work. All right? And again, your problem is none of those things. It's purely mindset. If you're an attractive man, and remember, women are not 100% attracted to looks. We men are, but women aren't. It's a percentage, but there's a strong percentage of female attraction that's nothing to do with how you look. I pulled a lot of women who were cute, who were 18 and 19-year-old girls without paying them when I was a fat fuck. I'm exaggerating. I was much more overweight than I am today. With bald, thinning hair in the front and a big gap in my tooth. How did I do that? How did I possibly pull that off? Confidence, outcome independence, game skill, putting in the numbers, and I maximized my physical appearance as best I could with what I have. I had to dress nice, posture, shit like that. Okay? You do it. Yeah, not a big deal. Let's see. Where are we here? Are you fucking other women hotter women than Pink Firefly? And in your position, do you consider it easier to do in today's age? They're younger. That's how I do this. They're younger. Pink Firefly is really hot, and she's hotter now than she's ever been. She's got 6-pack abs almost. Okay, she's looking really goddamn good. Her goals look like an Instagram fitness influencer. She's almost there. It's crazy. There's a handful of you, not very many of you, but there are a handful of you who have met her, like at events or met me at events, who are on her personal Instagram page. You've seen the videos she puts that her trainer takes when she's, working out, and she got the, she's looking really goddamn good. And she's exactly my type. I like platinum blonde hair. I like little tiny women. I like big boobs, all that stuff. They're younger women because Pink Firefly's 43. She doesn't look 43. She doesn't have a wrinkle on her. But they're younger. And when you're married in an OLTR marriage, that's a lot easier because, as I've said many times, younger women don't care if you're married. If they're over 33, they're going to really care. Even if you're paying them, they're going to care. It's just ridiculous. So is it easier, as I've mentioned, is it easier to date younger women today? Younger? Yes. Way easier. Way easier. Is it easier to date attractive women today? In my opinion, yes, but that's coming from my viewpoint. I've got a lot of strong game. I've been living this lifestyle for 16 years now. I'm a high SMV guy. It's easy for me. It's easier to bang hot girls. So it's easier for me to say that than the typical guy. So the question is, the typical average guy who puts in confidence, outcome independence, game skill, numbers, and maximizing physical appearance, is it easier for him to have sex with super hot women? I would say yes, at least a little, because of your competition these days. What is your competition these days? It's a bunch of betas. See, a lot of guys live on Instagram and think all men look like Andrew Tate. No, they don't. That is a teeny tiny fraction of a percentage, whatever that is. It's a tiny, tiny percentage of men look like that today. Most men are betas. So you don't really have a lot of competition. I've done videos and articles about this. So yes, I think it's easier. Not 10 times easier, but easier for those few men who are not MGTOWs and black pill and those fucking guys, incels, who are not those guys who just give up. Men who are willing to put in the time and effort. And that's what separated me from most men back when I started doing this back in 2007. I was willing to put in the time and effort, in some cases money. I was willing to put in that time to get good at this, to get that part of my life handled. And most men today are like, this bullshit doesn't work, all the chats and Instagram, and they just opt out. Yeah. Less competition for you. Okay, kind of cool. Let's see here. You've said in the past that a man's freedom and woman life are two areas that every man must address in order to have a happy life. Correct. Not a man's freedom. I had said, freedom too. You're misquoting it slightly. The two tires of your motorcycle are money and sex, geared toward maximum lifetime freedom, maximum masculine freedom. Yes. Correct. So yes, you're right. What would you do if you're wrongly convicted of murder and imprisoned in a maximum security? Okay, I hate these fantasy hypotheticals. That's my policy, like on blogs and comments. I don't answer fantasy hypotheticals because they're stupid. It's a bunch of Lissig bullshit. You're probably a Lissig asking this question. Am I right? Are you a Lissig? I bet you are. But for the AMA, I said you could ask me anything, so I'll answer your dumb fucking hypothetical. What would you do if you're wrongly convicted of murder and imprisoned in a maximum security prison for life, thus depriving you of these two baselines for maximum happiness? How would you structure your life? What values or interests would you prioritize and pursue in your free time? I'd assume you have a lot of free time in such scenario. Or would you self-erase because a reasonable level of happiness would be impossible? Okay. Oh, I hate hypotheticals, but I'm going along your dumb hypothetical. So I am wrongly accused of murder, and I'm in prison in max security prison for life. Okay. Thus depriving you, how would you structure your life? Okay. First of all, they allow conjugal visits, right? So I'd be on that. I'd be taking care of that, okay? And I would be like a lot of wrongly convicted felons. I would become a legal expert, and that'd be my job. My job would become a legal expert, learn the law, understand how I could appeal it or whatever, that kind of shit. I spent a lot of time doing that. I'd also arrange conjugal visits so I could have sex. Maybe it'd be once a month, but okay, I'll deal. I'd work out a lot, lift a lot of weights. I would meditate a lot, and I would work toward the day where I could be free. If for some reason, 20 years or 30 years went by and there's just nothing, there's just no cause for any hope, then maybe I might self-erase. Maybe I might do that, but not after a long time of trying very hard. I don't give up shit easily. I don't give up. I hit this shit hard. I like freedom. So I would fight for it. I'd work hard. Fight for my freedom. I don't fight for societal freedom and you Trump idiots. I fight for my freedom. So I'm going to fight pretty fucking hard for my freedom. So there's my hypothetical answer to your hypothetical question. A lot of my clients are religious and thus monogamous and have marriage problems. Yes, Steven Crowder. Yeah. I come out of my family. I come out of the Catholic world. And same thing. All these Catholics getting divorced and having problems and affairs and yeah. Being a fan of yours, I want to tell them to not be monogamous. Don't do that. Won't work. But it conflicts with their deeply held convictions, correct? Societal programming. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for monogamous men who refuse to be non-monogamous? No, they're fucked. No. It's too far gone for these men. And a lot of you have asked me these questions. Hey, how do I get my friend to do your Alpha 2.0 stuff? How do I get my brother to do a non-monogamous? How do I get, they're not. You can have a discussion with them that is open and honest and not preachy. Look, you idiot. Don't be like me on YouTube videos. You fucking idiot. You're just going to get divorced, you fucking moron. That's not going to convince anyone, right? You got to use emotions, unfortunately, even with men. So let them state your case. Be nice about it. Ask questions. And then that's it. And then make a suggestion, and that's it. Odds of success, probably 3 or 4%. It's too late. I have said before that the best time to hit up men for this kind of these normal beta males, which is what you're talking about, normal everyday societally programmed brainwashed dumb fucks. The best time to hit him up for this stuff is right during a divorce or a big breakup. His wife has just left him, or he just found out his wife has been fucking the guy at work, right? Cheating on him or whatever. The girlfriend just dumped him and now he's furious and crying. Then you talk to him. The last thing you do is when they're married and they have a new baby or they got a new girlfriend, they're going to scream at you and call you an asshole. And yeah. But again, odds of success are still low. You have to have, this is why I have always said I only focus on 10% of men. I do not care about women. I do not care about 90% of men. That's why I don't care about society. I don't give a fuck about society. Society fucked itself. I have no sympathy whatsoever. But I do care about 10% of men. And why is that? Because that's around, I think, the number of men whose minds are open enough and whose personalities are rational enough to at least look at this stuff. Because you have some friends, I don't know if you've experienced this, because I certainly have, not friends, but people in my audience and people I've talked to and things like that, because I've talked about these topics a lot. You'll quote these monogamy statistics about monogamy not working and problems, and what if she says no to sex, and you got to break up. Okay, you quote these facts and data, and some people go, well, fuck you. Or they go, well, you just find the right girl, and you're fine. You got the wrong girl. Like, complete shut brains, completely, irrational, purely brainwashed. But then you have some guys who go, well, those guys. There's a little bit open there, there's a little bit of analysis. They're able to actually analyze this stuff without getting their emotions and societal programming wrapped up in it. Those guys you can help. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I would guess it's around 10% of modern day men. Somewhere in there. Okay. So if they're religious and they just fucking refuse and they just think you're crazy or they call you stupid or, well, you're immature. You just need to find Jesus, that kind of stuff. Those men are too far gone. Let them just destruct. Let them fall over the cliff. But they're my friends. I know. I have friends who fucked up their lives. I have friends, I've written about them on my blog, some of them, close personal friends who destroyed their lives because of monogamy. Good-looking guys, wealthy guys, successful guys, well-educated guys who could have taken over the world, destroyed themselves because of monogamy. Because they wouldn't listen. Okay. That's their problem. That's on them, not you. How often do you contact FB or MLTRs to keep their interest? Now the framing of the question is incorrect. You don't keep their interest by texting them a lot. You keep their interest by not texting them. You don't keep a woman's interest by seeing her all the time. You keep her interested by not seeing her very much. It's a fundamental misunderstanding with men. Do you keep up every week, text or call? All right, here's the bottom line. Under normal conditions, will only text FBs and MLTRs once or twice a week, and usually it's just to set up the next meet. And I mean that seriously. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need any more than that. OLTRs are different, but you're not asking about OLTR. You said FB and MLTR. Minimum possible to keep that once a week appointment or once every other week or whatever. That's it. You can respond to her texts. So she texts you first. You can respond. That's fine. But you initiating contact, minimum. That's one of the cardinal rules. Minimum. Once a week, twice a week. That's it. More than twice a week, you're in a danger zone. What does a boyfriend do? Does a boyfriend text her once or twice a week? No, boyfriend texts her every fucking day, right? So the closer you get to that, the further danger you're in terms of her starting to expect you to act like a boyfriend. Monogamy, spending money on me, going on fancy dates, and meeting my parents and all that crap, right? Right. Okay. Got a fly in here. Your opinion on John Anthony lifestyle may be possible collab in the future, though he recently criticized Mr. Lucario. John Anthony lifestyle criticizes everybody, and my limited experience with watching his content is he'll have people on his channel and then they'll go off his channel and he'll immediately turn around and attack them for the next 5 years. He did that with Andrew Tate. So I would not do a collab with John Anthony lifestyle. He seems like a reasonably unhappy guy who hates a lot of people. So no, we'll see the point. I've been an opponent of monogamy. Okay. I use your arguments very often, but I've not seen anywhere that the divorce rate is 70%. North of 76% last time I crunched the numbers. It is higher now. Where do you get your percentage from, dude? So if you look up on my old blog, my understanding is the links are broken, but they're old anyway. If you do an aggregate of all there's no one study that says, so the number I've given is 76%. Let me explain that really quick. Common misunderstanding. When you hear divorce rate, what you're hearing is the per capita divorce rate, which is meaningless. That is the number of people who get married in a given year as compared to the number of people who get divorced in a given year. Or the number of divorces in a given year per the number of people in a country or region. Then you say 50%. That is a useless figure. That has nothing to do with you. What you need to know is your odds of you getting divorced if you get married in the Western world, blah, 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 okay? And those odds are well past 76%. There are so many statistics about this. The UK just came out with something where 24% increase in the number of people in the UK who will not make their 20th wedding anniversary. 24% increase, it was already horrible. The number of people getting divorced over the age of 50 has quadrupled in the last few years. So the odds of you getting divorced, the last time I crunched these numbers, which was 2000, I don't remember, 2011 maybe? Was 76%. You think divorce has gotten better or worse since 2011? What do you think? Just look a fuck around, okay? No. It's over 80%. The odds of you, not the divorce rate, not the per capita divorce rate, okay? Not the marriage, whatever rate. None of that bullshit. That's no. Another factor of this is that, well, I guess that's really not a factor. Less people are getting married, and the people who get married now are waiting longer. So if you have less people getting married, so a lot of Christians will say the divorce rate's gone down. The divorce rate's gone down, the per capita divorce, which means nothing has gone down in certain regions, because the average man used to get married when he was 23. Now he gets married when he's 30. So that means men in their 20s, by and large, aren't married. So now you have a whole population of men in their 20s who aren't married. So if you have far less men who are married at any given point in time, you have less divorces, don't you? So again, that's not relevant. What you want to know is the number of divorces based on the number of people getting married, like I said earlier. But that's more of a per capita thing. So if you look at those statistics, it's past 76%. My rough guess, based on the stuff I've seen lately, although I haven't done a deep dive on this, is over 80%. Your odds of getting divorced if you marry someone in the Western world today in the 2020s is over 80%. At some point in the future, you will get divorced. You might get divorced 2 years in. You might get divorced 7 years in. You might get divorced 12 years in. Low odds, you might get divorced 47 years in, like my parents did. Okay, you think my dad was happy about that, losing his wife of 47 years? No. Okay. Matter of fact, the longer it goes, some guys say, well, that's a success. If you're married for 22 years to get divorced, that's a success. That's not how men feel when they get divorced. You know how many men I've talked to have been divorced after 15, 20, 25 years of marriage plus? It ruins them. Guys who get divorced after 4 years, like I got divorced after 9. Didn't ruin me. Sucked, but it didn't ruin me. It's fine. I was able to bounce back pretty quick. I was only 35. It was only 9 years of my life. 25 years? You want to get fucking divorced after 25 years? These men are wrecks. My dad will never recover. And it's not just my dad. I know tons of guys. I've given you many examples of this. Okay. So yes, the divorce rate is sky high. Don't get traditionally monogamously married, and you are against monogamy. So there you go. At some point, yes, I should probably do an updated video of the real divorce statistics these days. You know, the reason I've hold off on that, and this is not the reason, but a reason, is the number I'm going to come up with is going to be so high, people won't believe it. I'm guessing it's 80%. It might be 90%. And people say, that's not true. What the fuck? They'll hear some huge number and they'll immediately discount it. That's not true. Even if I quote all the data and show all the statistics and data and the research, and they're going to go, that's not true. I read a thing the other day in my Christian newsletter that says it was 40%. No, it's not 40%. What do I do with the girls I just met? And they're used to texting all the time, every day. These are women over 33, aren't they? Am I right? Tell me if I'm right about this. If you read this in the comments, okay, if you ask this question, I'm betting money these are women over the age of 30, at least over the age of 30, right? How do I tell them not to send me messages as if I were their boyfriend and that I sent them when we go to see each other? I don't understand that part of it. All right, here's what you do. You ignore every other day. Okay, so this is what you do. When you have a girl or a woman, usually it's the older women who do this, okay? But there are exceptions. Sometimes you have young girls do this too. She's texting you every goddamn day. Stop responding on. So let's say she texts you all day Monday. Respond, okay? She texts you Tuesday. Don't respond. Don't respond all day, okay? She texts you Wednesday. Respond. Why didn't you text me yesterday? I was busy. Sorry about that. How you doing? They just change the subject, get back into it. She texts you Thursday. Don't respond. Text you Friday. Respond. What did you do? I was busy. Well, what if she screams and yells at me? Then instant soft necks. That's drama. Okay? You need to wean her off you. You need to train her to not text you. And again, women get the fucking point. Women learn very quickly about this stuff. She'll learn quickly. Okay, he doesn't like to be texted every day. What you don't do is be like an alpha male 1.0 or be like Andrew Tate and say, do not text me every day. I don't like that. So from now on, you are to text me only. Don't do that. Just ignore texts. By the way, this is a rare problem, especially if you keep it under 33 women. This is a very unusual problem. Rarely have I had that issue. I've had it, but it's rare. Most women today are more masculine, are tougher, right? And they try to kind of play it cool, right? Women try to play it cool. They don't want to come off as a stage 5 clinger or needy. Women don't want to be needy. Men don't mind looking needy because men are betas today, but women don't want to look needy because they want to look cool. So they generally don't do this, with exceptions. The black pill movement has adopted a determinist idea. I kind of see your point. I wouldn't state it that way, but I kind of see your point, sure. So how do you think it will develop over the next couple of years as more and more people get black-pilled in the West when it comes to dating, work, and finance? That is exactly what will happen. Black pill, or whatever they'll call it in 5 years. They change the name every fucking 5 years. It used to be MGTOW. Right now it's black pill. 5, 6, 7 years from now, it'll be some other new term they use. So whatever term they use, let's call it black pill now. Yes, more men will do this. We're going to follow the model of the Japanese men where, you know, in Japan, 1/3 of men under 30 don't have sex and don't want to have sex. Crazy. You're going to see that in the United States, Europe, Canada. You're going to see that in the Western world as the collapse continues. Yes, you will see that. And how will it develop? You and I will do very well. I always keep saying this, more for us. More for us. Whenever I see a black guy bitching and moaning on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, I'm like, more for me. Cool, get out of here. Convince more men to not, go convince more men to not try to get laid. One of the reasons it's easier now to hook up with younger girls and hotter girls is because there's less guy in the dating pool, less men. Because these black pill guys, all the chads are getting all the girls. Great, believe that. You have to get a Lamborghini to get a hot girl. Great, you keep believing that. Great. Please do that. That makes me very happy. It's terrible for society, but what have I said? I don't give a fuck about society. Western society go fuck itself. It killed itself, okay? Western men destroyed their own civilization, so I have no sympathy. Goodbye. So I don't care. So I'm focused now on me, my inner circle of people, primarily my wife and sort of my kids, although they're grown, and secondarily you guys, you 10% of men who get it. So this is a good thing for us. Exploit the collapse of the Western world if you can't stop it, and you can't. You can't stop it. Haven't been able to stop this for at least 15, 20 years. So exploit, benefit from it. Caleb, you regularly tell guys to get off their ass and work aggressively hard on their mission to attain financial independence. That I agree with. Oh boy. I hear a but coming. If for whatever reason a guy isn't able to do it quickly in a couple months. Well, I never said you could get financially independent in a couple months. So I think you're a little off here. And he's not bothered if it might take him 12 or 18 months. That's normal. It might take you 12 or 18. It might take you 2 or 3 years. That's okay. I don't know where you get these numbers. Apart from regular exercise, should he partake in Napoleon Hill style semen? Oh God, another one of these questions. Oh, I hate these. Napoleon Hill style semen retention and abstain from sex. Are you insane? And direct all of his energies to setting up his Alpha 2.0 business. Or do you think a guy going without sex for many months or even a year and not masturbating to ejaculate, good luck on that, motherfucker. Take a year. Don't come for a year. Go right ahead. You're fantasizing. You're fantasizing the wrong way. Don't have sex and don't jerk off for a year. Try it. See how long you last. Are you kidding? And again, what about the Buddhist monks? You're not a Buddhist monk. You are not and I am not. We're nowhere near that. If you're at all interested in my content, you are light years away from being a goddamn Buddhist monk. This Buddhist monk bullshit. It's stupid excuses. Having sex or many months or even a year and not masturbating to ejaculate is way too harmful for his mental and emotional and physical health. Yes. And he should find WB, I call them FBs, regularly play with during that period. Yes, I did an entire video called Monk Mode is Bullshit. You can search it on YouTube. A lot of people got angry about this, but no one disputed the facts I gave in that video. Yes, you will need to have sex. I'm sorry. If you don't have sex, you will not be effective at work. That is the number one primary reason I have sex. I've said this many times. Not because I'm a sex maniac, because I want to focus on my work. And while I'm focused on my work, the last thing I want to be thinking about is banging chicks. I don't want to be thinking about tits and ass as I'm focused on my work. And if I'm never getting laid, guess what you're thinking about all the time if you're a man? Unless you're a very low testosterone, low sex drive guy, unlikely you're in that category if you're interested in this content, right? So you have sex, I have sex, so I don't have to think about sex. Now, I still do. I'm a high testosterone guy. But you get my point, okay? I don't feel deprived. I'm not hungry. And I'm not like, well, I'm trying to get my work done. I went through this. In my early 20s, I've talked about this. I didn't date anyone for like 2 years and focused on my business. And it was a nightmare. It was really hard. I regretted doing it. Shouldn't have done it. Big mistake. So no. Semen retention, I have not seen the data. I have seen, on semen retention specifically, I have seen no data, hard data, scientific data that helps. I've seen a lot of opinions and a lot of fantasies and a lot of assumptions and a lot of this guy said. I've seen a lot of that. I have not seen hard data that retaining your semen somehow helps you. I haven't seen any of this. If you have any hard data to show me, I'm happy to look at it. I haven't seen it. Hard data that shows that it helps you. Helps you focus more if you don't come for 6 weeks. Are you insane? And last thing, on the bottom line I said in that video, monk mode. Going monk mode without sex is only for men who are hardcore players, pickup artists, seducers, bangers, who are banging all these chicks and they start banging all these girls and they can't stop. I was in that scenario once, okay, years ago. I wrote an article about it at the time, where you're just banging new girls because you can, and you get kind of addicted to it. Those guys need to go on monk mode. Does that describe you? No. Does that describe that doesn't describe 95% of you listening to this video or watch this video. The vast majority of you do not have that problem, do you? There's a small percentage of you that might. You might be able to go on monk mode for a while, a month or two to get back to normalcy. Sure. But that's the only category of men monk mode makes any sense for. And if you see monk mode videos, I did monk mode, it really helped me. If you listen to the video, I said this in the video, if you listen to that guy talk, he'll talk about, I was banging all these bitches and I was constantly out all night at clubs and banging new girls and on Tinder and banging girls and banging girls and bang. Well, yeah, for that guy, monk mode helped. And the problem is he says this to his entire audience, and all his audience of beta males who haven't had sex in 3 months, they barely had sex at all. They go, oh, monk mode's good. No, monk mode's terrible for you. You should get laid. You have the opposite problem. Yeah, there you go. As this is definitely an issue for much more with age 33 and over women, what do you suggest, Caleb, for women where they text you and they seem to demand heaps of fucking texting before you meet up? We're back to that again, yeah. So, as I said earlier, that's women over 33. You're correct. Like they need it as stimulation and attention with asking silly shit like, how was your day? Yes, over 33 women do this before the first date. That is how they behave. This is their way of dealing with their own ASD and their own insecurities. Yes, they're worried you're a player, and they're worried that you'll vanish, and they're worried, and they want to start developing the boyfriend relationship to you right now, even though you haven't met. Yes. To me, it reflects neediness. It's not actually neediness. Women don't need to be needy with men. Okay? It reflects ASD. If a guy enjoys small talk, which I don't, he'd not mind. But is there a way to tell a woman that heaps of texting small talk isn't your thing? No. Without it being less blunt? No. That's very masculine. I do not text all the time. Please do not do this. I do not like it. You can't get more masculine than that. Especially, do you invest in it when you meet, it's a dud meet as the woman was dull or not very interesting. Okay. Does it bother me if some age 33 and over women will decline to meet if they weren't given enough texting attention? No, it doesn't. You just answered your own question. Then stop doing it. So here's what I have said. For women over the age of 33, before the first date and after the second date and after the first date, the time between the first 1-2 dates, possibly 3, even prior to the first date, women over the age of 33, for you men who want to date women that age, you're going to have to talk more. Okay? If you refuse to talk, their ASD spikes and they go, this guy's a player, and they're gone. I've experienced this when I didn't know this. Okay? So yeah, now under 33, they don't give a fuck. But if you want women over 33, the price you pay, I've discussed this many times. There are many prices you have to pay if you want to date women over the age of 33. You have to wait longer for sex. You have to text a lot more. This is the price you pay for dating women that old. That's the way it goes, okay? Yes, there are some exceptions. Not all women will demand this, but many will, okay? And so if you don't want to do that, you just said it in your question. Don't. Just know that your success ratios for women over 33 are going to be lower because you're more stringent about not wanting to do small talk. By the way, I agree with you. But, I never focused on women over 33. I always focused on women under 33, so I didn't have that problem nearly as an option. I've dated plenty of women in their 30s and 40s. I married a woman who was in her 30s, so I've done it. But that is part of the price of admission. And some of you guys, I understand, go, I don't want to date younger women. I'm in my 50s. I'm in my 60s. I don't want to date a fucking 25-year-old. I get that 100%. I understand. Fine. Then you're going to have to deal with this shit. That's the way it goes. Why you advocate the silent treatment? I do not advocate the silent treatment. That's the opposite. I think it's terrible. AKA the soft nexter for 2 days and meet up with, okay. Soft nexting, I've been very specific about this. Soft nexting is nothing like the silent treatment. It is the exact opposite of the silent treatment. Silent treatment means you're in the same room with a woman who pretends you're not there. You pretend she's not there, and she's in the same room with you. That's the silent treatment. It is immature. It's stupid. It doesn't work. It's totally ineffective. This is what men do when they live with a woman, and what some dumb women do to men. The silent treatment is so stupid. Never do the silent treatment. Soft nexting has nothing to do with this at all. Okay, that is not the silent treatment at all. You're just not calling her. You're not responding to texts and phone calls. You don't live with her. You're not pretending she doesn't exist. You're just not responding to her. Women do that to us all the time, right? Right. Okay. AKA soft nexter for 2 days. Sometimes it'll be longer than 2 days. And then meet up with her and pretend nothing. I don't say to pretend a thing. I say you just continue as if nothing happened. You don't pretend it didn't happen. If she brings it up, she's welcome to do so. And you can address it. But you're not going to bring it up. You don't meet a woman after a 3-day soft next and say, now the reason I didn't talk to you for 3 days is, no. You're going to ruin the soft next. Shut the fuck up and just get right back to the happy relationship. Now, if she says, and this is almost never happens, women are so happy to see you again, they don't do this. But if she says, look, I really want to talk about why you didn't respond to me for 3 days. Great, talk about it. It's fine. I didn't say to pretend. Pretend nothing and expects she gets the message. Not expects, this works. You sound like someone who's never soft nexted a woman in your life. I've done many of these. And many people in my audience, and they'll tell you in the comments of this, okay, in this podcast or video, that they've done it and it works amazingly. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it works. Try it before you say it doesn't work. I've said this before in this AMA. Before you say that doesn't work, try it a few times. You will be shocked at how well it works. Anyway, moving on. She expects the message that she screwed up, change her attitude without volunteering yourself to help her. You don't help a woman if she gives you drama. Your attitude is so off. It looks like going against open, healthy communication narrative if we intend to see someone for the longer term. So let me say it again. If she wants to discuss why you soft nexted her, you may do so, and that is okay. As long as she talks in a normal tone of voice like I'm talking to you and doesn't raise her voice or scream at you or threaten. Now, if she does that again, you soft next her again. Okay, but you can discuss this stuff. I've said many times, any woman I'm dating, and they've all known this, I've dated a lot of women, you can come to me at any time when you have a problem with me and discuss it with me, and I will not get mad and I will not next you. However, and this is a big however, what you have to do is you have to discuss it like an adult. So you have to come to me and say, hey, Caleb, the other day when you said my sister was a bitch, that really hurt my feelings and it really bothered me. That's fine. You're keeping a low tone of voice. You're speaking to me like an adult, talking to another adult. You're not calling me names. You're not threatening me. You're not crying at me. You're not being a bitch. You're being an adult trying to solve a problem. That's fine. That's healthy communication narrative. If you come to me and say, what the fuck did you do? You're out. Soft next, you're gone. That's drama. See the difference? Soft nexting does not mean a woman can never bring up anything negative. Just a few minutes ago, right before this video, Pink Firefly, her and I discussed something that she was not upset about, had a problem with, something I did. And we had a nice little discussion on the couch. Took us, I think, 7 minutes. She kept a normal tone of voice. She was in a normal, we were, dealing with it as two adults fixing a problem. That's fine. That's not drama. That's not soft nextable. That's how you have healthy communication. What people, men and women both in the modern era, think healthy communication is screaming and yelling and getting it off your chest and calling each other assholes and bitches and threatening people and why the fuck did you do that? And that's not healthy communication. That's a child that is venting emotions. And I don't want any of that in my life. No, thank you. I don't do drama. I do happiness. So if you have a problem with me, come to me anytime you want. Express it in a normal tone of voice. As an adult speaking to another adult who's trying to solve a problem collaboratively as a team. That's fine. But if you don't do that, you start screaming at me, raising your voice, calling me names, threatening me, your ass is going to be soft nexted instantly. You're not going to see me for a while. That's right. There have been a few times you have mentioned something in the past or answered someone's question in regards to interacting with women and stated, don't do that, that's needy. I think a lot of guys are saying and doing certain things that are needy. Yes, that's the norm today. When they don't even realize what they are doing is in fact needy. Can you please expand on this more and maybe give some examples as of what not to do and why? There's so many things that fall in that category. That's a difficult question to answer. Everything men do is needy. You want to text her every day. That's needy. Okay. You don't want to see her once a week. You want to see her every day. That's needy. It is. Okay. Unless you're OLTR, it's different. You check up on her Instagram page to see if there's other guys on there. That's needy. There's the typical stuff that guys having an argument like Steven Crowder that lasts more than 4 or 5 minutes. A heated argument that lasts more than 4. That's needy. It only takes you about 30 seconds to tell you to describe why you're angry or why you're pissed off and her to respond. That's it. Everything. It's hard a question to answer because everything men do today is needy. And that means a few things. Number one, it means that you're a beta male, that you were probably raised without a father, or you're worse, not worse, you were raised with a beta male father. It means that you have one-itis or one-itis-y feelings toward this one girl who you think is not like the rest. Caleb, she's not like the rest. Okay. This is the hottest girl, in quotes now, the hottest girl you've ever had sex with, the hottest girl you ever dated, the best girl you ever dated, and no other woman would ever date me. If she broke up with me, then I'd be fucked because no other woman on the whole planet Earth of 3.5 billion women would not date me. These are all these irrational feelings, which is men's biological default, unfortunately. So, stop giving a shit. Outcome independence. Here's the opposite of being needy. Here's how you'd be not needy. Number one, strong mission that has nothing to do with women. Top of the list. Okay. Number two, multiple women, all of whom are attractive to you. That's a close number two. Most guys who are needy don't have multiple women they consider hot. They've got one girl they're seeing, and that's it. If there are multiple girls, if there's 2 or 3, they got one hot one or one cute one, the other 2 are ugly or average. That's not a good idea. I've talked about that many times. All your women should be attractive to you. They don't be 10s, but they should all be attractive. Okay. Number 3, confidence and outcome independence, building those up. Okay. Very important. On top of mission. Number 4, all the physical stuff I say to do. 8 hours of sleep, working out at least 3 times a week, lots of water intake. Doing those things will actually make you less needy. If you're really needy, you should check how many hours of sleep you're getting. I have a feeling you're getting less than 7 on average. Fix that. So all these things, this is a fixable problem. It just takes time and effort. And if you're, a beta male or a black pill guy, you say, I don't want to take all the time now. I'd rather be a beta. All right, go ahead. It's fine. More for me. Perfectly fine. According to Roosh V, oh God, here we go. According to Roosh V, Canadian women are worse than American women. That's not accurate, but okay. I remember he hates Canadian girls. I think you're incorrect. I think he hates girls from Toronto. And Toronto is a very difficult city. He's right about that. I don't hate women from Toronto. I've had Canadian FBs. Are Canadian girls worse than American girls in your opinion? No, they're pretty much the same. How to behave with new girls and returning FBs when you are in an OLTR. What to disclose and when. Isn't it mentioning you have a serious girlfriend going to turn off most girls? Are you kidding? Think about that for a minute. You have a girlfriend now, especially if she's kind of pretty. You think that's going to turn off most girls? Or is that going to turn on most girls? What do you think? I know the answer. What do you think the answer is? I would love if you addressed OLTR situations more often. Well, here's the problem. I do address them occasionally. If I address whenever I address OLTR stuff, half the audience says, this is awesome. Talk more about this. And half the audience goes, I don't want an OLTR. Will you stop talking about this? You're just saying that because you have an OLTR, Caleb. So not all of us want OLTRs. So that's a dance I have to dance. Okay, a question. How to behave with new girls returning FBs when you're an OLTR, what to disclose and when. Okay, so for new women, I already answered that earlier in this AMA. I disclose it immediately, right up front. That's one of the first things out of my mouth. Not literally, but I disclose it right up front. I'm married. Now, here's what I disclose. If you guys wanted to know, I'm married, but it's an open marriage. My wife knows what I'm doing. I don't just say I'm married because then like, well, this guy's cheating on his wife and oh man. No, it's an open marriage. My wife knows exactly what I'm doing. That's what I tell women, and that's true. As a matter of fact, if they're from other countries, they may not know what open marriage means. So if she's foreign, because I have a lot of those, I'll say, do you understand? Do you understand what that means? Open marriage. I'm allowed to sleep with other women. And my wife knows what I'm doing. Okay, I say that. Returning women. Absolutely. Right up front. Now, depending on your social media structure in your personal life, your Facebook and your Instagram, your personal Facebook, not personal Instagram, Snapchat, if you use that stuff, she may already know. So a lot of the women who have returned to me already know I'm married because they see my personal Facebook, they see me and my hot wife. So they already know. So it's not like I hide this shit. But if they don't know, yeah, I tell them. Yeah. And if she was an MLTR and she wants to come back to you and you have an OLTR, MLTRs aren't allowed anymore, okay? So you'll have to disclose that to her. If she says, we should go out to dinner, you say, here's the deal, and you explain to her. Have I had to do this? I haven't had to do this because everyone knows I have a wife now. All my exes know this. But if you have this scenario where you have an ex-MLTR and you have an OLTR, and if she says, come on over, you're good to go. Go on over. But if she says, let's go out to dinner, let's go get a drink, you say, hey, first, you've already told her, hopefully, that, wait, here's how you'd say it. The loud way you can say it. Use your language, not mine. I'm with someone now, and it's non-monogamous, it's open, but it's emotionally exclusive. So you and I can totally hang out, have fun, whenever you want. Totally down. But as long as you understand, I can't like take you out on dates because I have a wife or because I have a girlfriend now. I can't take you on dates and stuff. You just say that. But I would love to spend time with you. That'd be great. And then go right back to that and close and schedule a date. Schedule a meet at her place or somewhere else. If you have an OLTR girlfriend, she can come over to your place. If you're an OLTR wife, you have to go to her place or figure something out. Figure out logistics. No. Let's see. Do you recommend using macro and auto clickers for Bumble and Tinder? Abso-fucking-lutely. If you want to be serious about this, get my book, The Ultimate Online Dating Manual, updated for the 2020s at onlinedatingsuccessnow.com. I go into detail about that, exactly what to use, and all that stuff. Yes. In an earlier question and answer, you mentioned that you recommend no fap for some people sometimes. I did? Oh, yeah. Okay. Could you elaborate a bit on that? Okay. What I think I said, here's my opinion. I don't remember what I said. It was 2 years ago, but here's my opinion on this. Everything in moderation is fine. Now, first, let me give a disclaimer. Just like with ED and erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation, I have no experience with porn addiction or masturbation addiction. I've never had these problems. So I am not the expert to ask about these things. I can just give you my opinion based on what I do know and the men I've talked to, okay? I've never had an issue with jerking off too much or watching porn. I don't even like porn. I have sex. I prefer sex to porn. Call me crazy. So here's my layman's opinion. This is my opinion, okay? If you're jerking off like any other man a few times a week or whatever, I don't know what the normal number is, that's fine. Okay, you don't need to go no fap, that's fine. If you watch porn occasionally when you jerk off, that's fine. If you're jerking off every fucking day, sometimes several times a day, and you constantly looking at porn all day, many times a day, you got a fucking problem. I know men and women have told me about, they have boyfriends and stuff where they're like, the woman wakes up in the middle of the night, her boyfriend's not in bed, and she's like, what the fuck? It's like 2 a.m. And she gets up, looks around, and he's out in the kitchen jerking off to porn instead of sleeping or with his girlfriend. And sometimes his girlfriend's hot. Pink Firefly had an ex-boyfriend did this. She's Pink Firefly, and he's out jerking off to porn. Okay, you got a problem. So in that scenario, just like with the super ultra player guys who are banging chicks left and right every day, every night, doing monk mode for a while, just like those guys who are gone too far, if you're jerking off constantly, all the time, looking at porn all the fucking time, no fap for a while, not forever, might make sense for you, just you, not normal guys. If you jerk off every once in a while, that's normal. Welcome to being a human being, okay? I've said many times, The desire for men to orgasm is like going to the bathroom. You need to do it. Do you jerk off because you love jerking off? Honestly, do you? No, it's because you need to, right? You have a physiological need to have sex and or jerk off. Fine, it's okay. You probably don't have a physiological built-in physical need to watch porn 6 times a day and jerk off 6 times a day. That's dysfunction, in my opinion. And again, this is just my opinion. What do I know? All right. Do you still recommend the one photo dating model for online dating in the 2020s? Do you consider photo feeler a good... Okay, so first of all, it's not as effective as it used to be, but I still recommend it if you have a physical problem. If you are very overweight, if you are extremely ugly, yes, sometimes it does make sense. If you've tested the 3 model and it hasn't worked, it's something to test. Yes. But by default, no, I would not default to this. I would default to the 3 photo model. Do you consider Photo Feeler to be a good site for finding the most optimal photo, or would asking various women work better? Asking women always works better than any tool you can find on the internet. And so here's the technique. If you're serious about online dating working for you, you want to ask at least 3 different women who don't know you, who are in your age demographic. So let's say you want to date women in their 20s, okay? Have women in their 20s you know, send your photos over text or whatever to some girlfriends they have who are in their 20s, who are not fat or ugly, okay? And then have that girl, your friend, take screenshots of what they say and send them to you and get that feedback. Now, you can ask women who already know you, but they're, and that helps. It's better than nothing. So women who know you are better than nothing. The problem with that is they know you, so they're clouded by what they know of you, right? So it's better to have women you know send to their girlfriends or their sisters or cousins or what have you, okay, and get their feedback. Way better than any app you could use. You could use some apps too. I've used them. But it's way better to get females' opinion who don't know you. I've been on a few dating apps such as Bumble, Tinder, and OkCupid, but have yet to establish recurring non-monogamous relationships. I have started to manually swipe on Bumble and Tinder to see if that yields any results. What were you doing before if you weren't manually swiping? I currently live near New York City, so I know there are plenty of single attractive women in my age range of 18 to 33. Correct. What do you recommend to do to stay motivated during the Alpha 2.0 online dating process? Go for little improvements and change your approach. So if you've been busting your ass and nothing has worked, you need to change what you're doing. Change something. Change your photos. Change, if you're on Tinder or Bumble, the algorithm probably hates you now. Delete your account, make a new account, start fresh, and do it again. Change something. If you're matching women, okay, and you have conversations that end up nowhere, change what you're saying. Change. That's how I got good. That's all I did was constantly changing my approach. And if it didn't work, I'd stop doing it. If it worked, I'd kept doing it and change something else. And go for little incremental improvements. And track this shit. A little improvement is, a lot. I remember when I went from 1 lay per 10 first dates. It was brutal back then. Back in 2007 or whatever it was. When I went from 1 lay per 10 first dates to 2 lays per 10 first dates. That doesn't sound like a lot. But that's a lot. That's a 100% improvement. That's huge. Then I got to 3, then I got to 4. Crazy. But I was tracking this stuff. Okay. Let's see. Teleworking makes people live further and further from the center of cities. Somewhat, yes. And I have told people if you're not going to escape the collapsing West, if you're going to stay in the United States, Canada, West Europe the rest of your life, stupid. But if you're going to do that, you can't live in a city. You got to live out in the rural areas, as far away from the cities as you can. It seems that day game and night game might be impacted. They have been impacted because this new way of living, as it'll be hard to make the women go back to your place. They have been impacted, but not because of that. I have dated women, like I said, 50 minutes away from my house. And that's fine. I don't mind. Not a big deal. I lived way out in the suburbs. The last few years I lived in the United States, I've talked about this on my old YouTube videos. I lived way out in the middle of nowhere. I was fine. I had no problems. It was fine. I still got laid just fine. I just had to drive a little more. And that's the price you pay for living out in the suburbs or living out in the rural area. I was on the edge of rural. What is your opinion on that? And do you think there will be some way to take advantage of it in the dating field? It also seems to be that social media game might become as powerful as dating app to hit on girl because there is no such incentive to keep you frustrated, so you can keep paying for the abandonment. Abandonment? Okay, I understand that last part. Okay, so how do you take advantage of it? Well, first of all, you focused on women within a radius of your house. So if you live far outside your city, I've lived far outside my cities most of my adult life. I've never had a problem. You just expand your radius and focus on women in your radius. So I'd have to give you a city example. I don't want to do that. Like in Los Angeles, if you're in Inglewood, I don't want to do that. Mentally or physically on a piece of paper or on Google Maps, draw a circle around where you live. And all the little towns, cities, communities, focus on women there. That's what I do. That's all I've done most of my life. It worked fine. If you don't live in a city, within 50 minutes or 60, you can do 60 minutes, 70 minutes, whatever you want to do, okay? You'll be fine. You'll be okay. Unless you live way the fuck in the middle of nowhere, and that's very rare. There's a tiny handful of you in my audience who live way out in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere. There's nowhere for 2 hours. The closest even small town is like 3 hours. That's different. But for all the rest of you, that's it. Just focus on that. I've never had a problem doing this. And I'm not sure why men worry about this, because I've never had a problem, ever. Yes, you might need to drive a little more. If you're an older guy, you have money, pay for women's Ubers. If you're an older guy and you have money, if you're a young guy, don't do that, please. But whatever. Just make it work. Not a big deal. I've never had a problem with this. Can you address the downsides of serial monogamy for guys under 40? Are you kidding? Do you like it when your girlfriend breaks up from you? Do you like that? Is that fun? Now you want to do that every year or two? Why would you want to do this? How is that happiness? It's insanity. Do you like it when your girlfriend says, when you want to have sex and she says no because she's mad at you? Do you like that? Is that fun for you? You monogamous pussy? Yeah, no. Moving on to this question. I know it's not realistic for me to commit to one woman for the rest of my life, and I'm not talking about legal marriage. I'm just thinking, okay, maybe I'll give this woman monogamy for a year or two. Oh my God. But expect her to move on after that. Why do you want that? I'll explain in a second when I'm doing your question. It's just gotten exhausting. Here it comes. This makes more sense. It's just gotten exhausting trying to get women to accept non-monogamy when there are feelings involved, MLTR plus. And I keep losing my best women because they won't accept that one detail. Well, then your game is off. I didn't have that problem. I didn't lose tons of women. And when you say lose, that's less temporary. They come back. I'm starting to think it may be more fulfilling, oh my God, to just focus on a solid bond with one woman at a time. You can. It's called OLTR. I have a solid bond with my wife. One woman. Okay? You can do this non-monogamously. And just expect to have a series of them rather than dealing with the complexity and difficulty of having multiple at once. Okay, here's the problem. Right now, you're thinking very logically about this. Well, I'll just I'll just have a girlfriend dump me every 2 years. Right now, you're thinking that because you're single right now. I can tell from your question, right? Now, let's say you're in a relationship with a monogamous girlfriend. You can only fuck her because you were stupid to promise monogamy. She's your 100% focus in terms of sex and female romantic energy from one woman. One day she dumps your ass out of the blue. And like most men in most dumps, you had no idea it's coming because men are stupid about this. And you're like, what the fuck? And now you're depressed. Will you say when she dumps your ass, oh, that's okay, that's part of the plan? No, you will not say that. You know you won't say that. You'll be angry. You'll be shocked. You'll be upset. You might be depressed. You'll be sad. It'll affect your work. It'll affect your sleep. You'll be thinking about it all the time. You're going to send a bunch of needy fucking emails to people like me saying, how do I get her back? Right? Right. That is the opposite of happiness. Why would you purposely pre-plan unhappiness? That is the literal exact opposite to the models I teach. I teach long-term consistent happiness, planning to be happy for the rest of your life. That's my life. My life is so good right now because 5 years ago, I planned 5 years from now, I'm going to be really happy. So I do this, make sure I'm really fucking happy. You're doing the exact opposite. You are actually saying, a year and a half from now, I'm going to be fucking miserable. I'm going to plan in this misery every year and a half, this utter misery. Because 2 girls that didn't work out, I tried to make MLTRs, didn't work out. They left. Well, yeah, they do leave. They come back. It's called a roster. You should get my book. You want lots of women to come back. and they come back and they come back and they come back and they come back. Okay. That's what you're thinking. So you're just thinking in terms of how you feel about it today. You are not being realistic about how you're going to feel about it in the future. Now, as I've said before, I've been on record as saying this. If you honestly tell me, Caleb, I don't care. Yes, I will be fucking miserable in a year and a half, and I'm going to be fucking miserable for 2 or 3 months every year and a half the rest of my life until I'm 40 or whatever. Yes, fine, I'll do it. Then go ahead. I think you're a psychopath, but go ahead. If you want to make that conscious decision, go ahead. That's fine. Rarely do men say this to me. Sometimes they do. It's very rare. But I've had a few guys say, you know what? Yes, I want to get legally monogamously married. Yes, and I want to have kids. God damn it. Yes, I know it's going to be a nightmare. Yes, I know I'm going to argue with her. Yes, I know I won't be able to have sex. Yes, I know I'll probably get divorced and she'll take me to divorce court. I won't be able to see my kids. Yes, all these problems, but I don't fucking care. Okay, if you care about happiness, if you value that happiness so low in your life, if you have such a low value on your future happiness, fucking do whatever you want. You don't have to listen to the word I say. I'm not really sure why you're paying attention to this content. That's you. I have a feeling that's not you. I have a feeling you're just making excuses because you had 1 or 2 failures. You're like, God damn it. You're not thinking rationally. You're not thinking long term. Is Brazil a good country for alpha male 2.0? I know it said it was crazy. I said it was crazy. Yes, it is. But do you see Brazil as being stable for the next 10 years? No. For running through hot Latinas and eventually raising a family in. Okay, those are 2 radically different things, bro. Running through hot Latinas and eventually raising a family in? One has nothing to do with the other, right? So you're looking at 2 different standards for a country. Is Brazil okay for running through hot Latinas? Yes, that is good for that country. Is it okay for eventually raising a family? No, I would not recommend Brazil. Are there regions of Brazil, if you have more money, that might work? Sure. Brazil's a very big place. A lot of people live in Brazil. I mean, Sao Paulo's one of the biggest cities on earth. So sure. Would that be my first choice if I wanted to raise a family? No. So what I would do is go to Brazil, bang a bunch of girls, and then go somewhere more stable once you want to raise a family. That's what I would do. And when you say, is Brazil a good country for alpha male 2.0, it depends on what. Because guys ask, is Estonia a good country? For what? Is Georgia a good flag? For what? For what? For what? You don't just have a good flag. There's 5, 6 different kinds of flags. There's different countries serve different purposes. And the purpose of 5 flags is you have every country serves an individual purpose instead of having your one country you happen to be born into serve every need that you have, which doesn't fucking work anymore. Worked a long time ago, but not anymore. You mentioned that millennial and Gen Z women are getting less sex. That's factual. Correct, they are. Are these comments for Canadian and American women only? Can you say that millennial women and Gen Z women from Asia, Latin America, Eastern Europe, and other regions are getting less sex as well? No. I am indeed talking about the Western world when I quote those statistics. Yes. Let's go through each one of those. Asia, I would say it's about the same. I don't have data on this, but I would say it's about the same. I think it's gone down or gone up. Latin America, they're getting laid. Young girls in Latin America are getting cock. They are getting laid. They like to fuck in Latin America. So I don't know. I don't have the data on this, but I would imagine if you look at the data, Gen Z and millennial equivalent. They don't have Gen Zs and millennials in Latin America. That is a Western thing. So let's talk about women under 30 in Latin America are having a lot of sex. Yes, they're doing just fine. Eastern Europe, I am confident that is also dropped. I don't have the data in front of me. I am confident if you did the research, women under the age of 30 in most Eastern European countries are probably having less sex today than they did 20 years ago. I would venture that guess. Yes. No. Why don't you call FBs, MLTRs, and OLTRs concubines, as that has been the traditional name for the lifestyle? Because that's not what they are. A concubine is a woman you live with who is an addition to your wife. Is that an FB? No. Is that an MLTR? No. Is that an OLTR? No. Has nothing to do with it. So no. Branding purposes? No, because they are literally not concubines. That is not what they are. You have the definition of the word concubine all fucked up. No, none of those things are equivalent to concubines. The closest thing you could come to a concubine, in my parlance, there isn't any. I was about to say super FB, but even that's not a concubine because you don't live with a super FB. So no, that is not an accurate term for those types of relationships. Have you found any hormone optimization therapy protocol for pink firefly so that her drive stays as fresh as yours? We men have TRT, for example. What do women have? Last time I checked, it was progesterone and estrogen supplementation. Has pink firefly used any of that? Actually, guess what? Guess what women also need? Testosterone. Women need, just like men need some estrogen, but not too much, but not zero. You need some estrogen. You need some, or else you're not going to be horny. Your dick's not going to work. It's going to be very bad if you have low estrogen as a man. Women, same thing with testosterone. They need some testosterone, not much, but some. So, interestingly, yes, about 2-3 years ago, I ran Pink Firefly through all the same battery of tests that I take. Her progesterone was a little off, was a little weird, but that's because of her birth control, so nothing you can do about that. But her testosterone was a little low. So, she takes a testosterone cream, and yeah, it makes her horny. Yes. It makes her more energetic and more horny to the point where she actually, when I'm out of town for many weeks, she doesn't take it. I'm like, why don't you take your cream? It's good for you. She's like, I get too horny and you're not here. Pretty cool. So, yeah, but you are right. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, those three are what women need for those things. So, yes, if you have an OLTR woman in your life, girlfriend or wife, you should have her take all the tests I discussed. You got to add in a few things like progesterone and a few other things. I don't follow women's blood work, so I really can't answer that. But yeah, and then check her levels and get her optimized. Yeah, you bet. I try to do everything for Pink Firefly physically that I try to do myself. At least I just suggest it. It's an OLTR Marriage on Alpha 2.0. I can't tell her what to do. I'm not going to. But she is very physically fit now. You'll see in her AMA how much weight she's lost, how much muscle she's gained. She is toned as fuck. She looks really good. She is almost has a six-pack. She has that, like, you know, that half oval shape in her stomach. She's looking goddamn good. People keep saying, wow, you lost weight. You'll see. You'll see in her AMA the comparison between how she looks now and how she looked in the last AMA about 2 years ago. Yeah, it's pretty good. Have you found any condoms that make sex somehow tolerable? Many of us, me included, can't really get a proper erection with classic condoms, and sex is subpar. Okay, first thing about that is, for you older guys, if you go on TRT like I did, especially if you supplement with HCG or gonadorelin, it makes condoms feel better. It does. So condom sex feels better to me post-TRT than it did before TRT. I promise you. So if you're a younger guy, it's not an option. The best condoms for physical pleasure for men are female condoms. I've written articles about this. They're a little weird, and it requires a little prep work. You can't just, fuck a girl. You got to do some things first. A normal male condom goes over your dick, and your dick goes inside her, right? So female condoms are the inverse. They go inside the woman first. You take 2 fingers, you put it inside her, so you have to talk to her about this, and then it kind of hangs out. It's not very romantic, but then you go in, and it's awesome. It's great. So female condoms the best. They're a little more expensive, and they're a little more work. So outside of that, I would suggest you try as many different brands and types of condoms as you can. The brand of condom I use typically when I'm not using female condoms is Trojan Ecstasy. They're more expensive. They're bigger. Not that I have a big giant dick, but they have more room at the end of the condom, and they're tighter at the bottom of the base, because most of the pleasure you feel during sex is on the head of your dick. It's like 80%. So you want a lot of looseness in there, and you want to put a drop of old story, but it's true. A little drop of lube, one little drop of lube in the condom before you put it on. That helps too. So that's what you do. But female condoms, check them out, man. They're great. I think I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit. Let's see here. I'm going to adjust with my feet. That's better. Okay. Cool. All right. Are you using any stand-up desks with or without a treadmill? If yes, which, and what have you seen? If no, why? So I did back in the United States. If you were part of the SMIC program a few years ago back in the United States, I would conduct SMIC meetings while I was walking on my under-desk treadmill. Right now, this desk right here, you can't see it. I guess you can see part of it right there. Right there, that desk, that's the edge of it, is a stand-up desk. I use that. Sometimes I stand, sometimes I sit. I should have a under desk treadmill, and I just haven't bothered to do that yet since I've moved to Dubai. It's on the to-do list, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I should do that. Yeah, because I had them in the United States and they were great. I would work and I would type. You can't talk. Sorry. I would walk very slowly, like 1 mile per hour, really slow, so you could type. And if you do especially if you're doing boring, stupid work, it's good to walk during that. So yes, standing is the new smoking, which is true. Sitting all day is the new smoking, which is accurate. If you stand an hour or two a day, you add several years to your life. I've also talked about this. If you floss once a day, you'll add 7 years to your life, and they're good years. Fact. If you just floss once a day, anytime you want, doesn't matter, not right before, anytime, just floss. I've talked about this in our content. Let's see. If you have an MLTR, where should you have sex with your FBs? Okay, I think you mean OLTR. MLTR, you don't live with. So I think you mean OLTR. My book, The Ultimate Open Marriage Manual at open-marriage.com, has an entire chapter on logistics on how to do that. I list about 11 different ways you can do this. Handle this if you can't have sex in your home like me. You can share an apartment with a friend. You can get a hotel. You can use her place. You can use a car in some cases. You can use an RV in some cases. I've had guys who rent offices and they send them. I did that. I rented a little cheapy office because they're cheaper than apartments with no windows. There's all kinds of scenarios. It's not a big deal. So you have lots of options. You just have to think outside the box a little bit. You can't just throw your arms there and say, well, I can't do that. So yeah. Let's see. What does an ideal super FB look like? Good question. She should look like what you like, but have the things that your OLTR wife lacks. Now, this is not advice. This is just my opinion. And again, to repeat, I have not done this yet. I have not done the super FB. Pink Firefly is very uncomfortable with this concept. And I put this whole thing on pause as she adjusts to Dubai. But what I would do if I did that would be she would, I already know, she would look the way I like. I have a certain type that I like, so you do too. We all have certain physical archetypes that we like, but she'll have the characteristics that Pink Firefly doesn't have. So Pink Firefly's body is perfect to me, except her ass is small. She has a small ass. She doesn't have no ass. She doesn't have a flat ass. She has a butt, but it's small. I like big asses. So if I had a super FB, she'd have a big, big ass. To be honest, all of my FBs, is this right? All of my regular FBs all over the world have big asses. They all do, because that's the one thing I don't have through Pink Firefly. And then Pink Firefly is small, which I really like. She's 5'4". I like really short. So my ideal super FB would be even shorter than that, like 5'1", 5'2", 5'0", with a big ass and a little tiny body. Probably blonde, but she doesn't have to be. So that's basically the model, is what are you lacking physically in your wife, and you supplement that with your FBs on the side, or if you want to do super FB, that. My opinion. It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong answer to that. What do you want? What do you want? What is your ideal FB or super FB or whatever? What precautions should I take if I want 2 women to sleep with me overnight? I don't think I've ever done that. Let me think a minute. Have I had 2 women spend the night with me? Well, I actually have done that, but not in my same bed. So there's different ways you can pull this. Number 1, you do what I have done, not lately, but I've done it, where here's the main thing in all this. You have a main girl and a new girl, or a main girl and a second girl. They're not equal. That's not going to work. So just like with threesomes, the main girl needs to know she's the main girl, period, or else you're going to have problems, okay? So same thing if she spends the night and someone else spends the night with her, one of her friends or someone you have her meet or whatever. You have the main girl who you like more than the other girl, and you have the other girl. And you like the other girl too, and you're nice to her and you take care of her, but your main girl knows, okay? So so it's different scenarios. You can sleep with your main girl and the other girl sleeps on the couch. I've done that. It's been a long time, but I've done that. If they're sleeping in the same bed, that's fine, but your main girl gets preference. She sleeps where she wants in the bed. You sleep where she wants you to sleep. If she wants you to sleep in the middle, you sleep in the middle. If she wants to be in the middle, she's in the middle. You let her kind of take charge of that, because you're going to have all kinds of drama the next day if you don't do this, okay? She wants to cuddle with you, you cuddle with her, okay? That's it. That's how you do it. That's how you play it. If you just really steady on the main girl thing with this kind of two women having sex with two women, threesomes, hanging out with two at the same time, spending the night with two women, you got to have a main one and a second one, period. End of story. You have to have that hierarchy. If the main girl feels like you like the other girl too much, and I've been guilty of this with Pink Firefly, it's not going to work. And a lot of other guys have. So you got to make sure. But even prior to Pink Firefly, when I was doing this with two women, I would always have a main girl, and she knew she was the main girl. That's why I didn't have any problems. Is it okay to see a woman a week straight? No, it's not. Have sex daily and then not see her again for a very long time, a year or more. No, that is not okay. No, I don't know why. Why would you do that? Unless you're traveling. If she's long distance, yes, that's okay. Outside of that, I don't understand why you would want to have sex with a woman 7 times in a row, 7 days in a row, and then not see her for a year. Why would you want to do that? That's very odd. I've been on a few dating apps such as Bumble, Tinder, and OkCupid. This is a repeat question, so I'm going to skip that question. I have already answered that question. Let's see. I am trying to sort everything out. Business, property, finances, lifestyle, and qualifications. Qualifications? Often I feel overwhelmed by it all. You sound like an overthinker just by that question. What advice would you offer when feeling overwhelmed? Narrow it down to 2. Rule of 2, only focus on 2 improvement areas at the same time. You're trying to focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. 2 areas of improvement. That doesn't mean you only do 2 things. You can work out if you're just maintaining what you got. That doesn't count as an improvement area, so you can still work out. Okay, but if you say, I want to start a business, that's 1 improvement area. And you say, I want to get good with women, that's 2nd improvement area. And you say, I'm trying to get this certification, that's a 3rd improvement area. Now you have too many. 2 at a time, and that's it. All that one's put on temporary pause. Rule of 2. I teach this in my coaching programs. So you are trying to do more than 2 things in terms of improvement. I know that's hard sometimes. Right now in my life, I'm dealing with a lot coming at me. In terms of my business life, I'm dealing with a lot right now. And I have to remember my own stuff. Rule of 2. Okay. Also things like meditation, exercise, sleep, the physical stuff. Okay. Sleep, meditation, exercise. That'll help. I have a feeling you're not doing any of that. Of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed. Yeah. Countries that are great for dating, such as Colombia, Philippines, and Mexico, are not good in terms of taxes when living there for more than 6 months a year. Philippines? Is that true? I don't know. Colombia and Mexico, Colombia, yes. Mexico, kinda. There are ways around that. Philippines, I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Maybe. Philippines is not one of my flags, so I can answer that. But possibly. Okay. Since MLTRs require being in the country for the majority of the year, yes, what would be a good strategy for combining a good woman with 5 flags, low taxes? Oh, good woman life with 5 flags and low taxes. Like you've mentioned, trying to get MLTRs in places like Dubai and Paraguay might not be the best solution. That's not what I said. I've never said that. Never said that. Never said that. You can get MLTRs in Paraguay. They're wonderful. You can get MLTRs in Dubai. You got to go through a little more women, but you can. There are women here I would have MLTRs with. Sure. That's not a problem. So I think the premise of your question is off. Here's your answer. Your answer is you design where you want to go first and plug your women in second. I've said this all the time for all the other things. So if you want to live in, well, I don't know. I got to think of an example. So you're saying, it would be bad for taxes to stay anywhere more than 6 months, those 3 countries. Then don't do that. Don't pay those taxes. So say I'm going to be in Colombia for 6 months a year. I'm going to be in the Philippines 6 months a year, period. And then you figure it out. You make that work. And so, but Caleb, how do I maintain an MLTR if I'm not there? Yeah, it's a problem. So if it's that important to you, you do it by quarters. 3 months in Colombia, 3 months in Philippines, 3 months in Colombia, 3 months in Philippines. That would be difficult, but it'd be workable. There's no easy answers for this if you want MLTRs and you want a mobile lifestyle. This is why I didn't do this. I live in Dubai year round. I travel a lot, but I live in Dubai. And that's another reason why before I left the United States, I put my OLTR in place. So once I moved, it was already there. I didn't have to worry about this. Now you may say, I don't want an OLTR. Okay, fine. But there's no easy answers. If you guys want MLTRs, you don't want an OLTR, and you don't just want FBs, and you want to be able to travel and have this mobile lifestyle, there's no easy answers for you. Either you just stick with FBs, long-term trusted FBs, which is what I have, okay? Or you get an OLTR if you're ready for one. That means you're over the age of 30. Or you make it work, and it's kind of choppy with the MLTR stuff. Worst case, if you're an older guy and you have money, only if you're an older guy and you have money, you have a lot of money, you can fly your MLTRs out. You could do that. It's an option too. There's a few guys in my audience who are older and have money. Don't you do this if you have no money or have low income or average income. Higher income, you got plenty of money. They will fly their MLTRs out to their second country. You can do that. That's an option, but there's no easy options for this. Wish there was. You know, MLTRs are complicated for 5 flags. They are. That's the most complicated. MLTRs are wonderful. I love them to death. Haven't had them many years, but they're great. But for a 5 flags mobile lifestyle, MLTRs are not easy. Yeah. FBs are great. OLTR works. MLTRs, you gotta kind of plant yourself or fly women around. I've had a lot of sex getting to sex in the second date following the BD dating model. Good. However, one thing I've noticed is once I try to schedule a hangout at my place for the third date, second time sex, I either get flakes or ghosting extremely often. Is that expected? No. You are doing too much player stuff. You are raising ASD, you're raising LMR, you're raising buyer's remorse. These are all PUA, pickup artist terms. You're acting like too much like a player. That is the classic player problem. You're an attractive guy, probably with strong game. You're very confident. You know what you're doing, but you're a little too much alpha. You're a little too much player. What I talk about for Alpha Male 2.0 is 85-15. 85% player, 15% what we used to call provider. So let's call it beta male. 85% alpha, 15% beta. You're more like 90, 95, 100% alpha. So women will fuck alphas, but they won't date alphas, with rare exception. Women will fuck players, but they're not going to date players. So you don't want to be a 100% player. You want to pull it back 15%, throw a little beta male in there. What I used to do is talk about my kids. I love my kids, which is true. I would talk about, I have the same phone number for 25 years, the same email address for 20 years. I have my own business. Okay, I would dress like a normal man my age who was cool. I wouldn't dress like a player dude. Okay, so that was my 15%. That's why I made it work. So you're doing something, I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something that is too playerish. All of you guys, if you have that problem where you're getting laid and they'll have sex with you once and then they don't respond to you after you having sex with them once, you're being too much player, too much alpha, dial that back 15%. Continuing with this question, I make all the women come the first time we have sex. Good. Should I do an actual date somewhere near my place instead of just inviting her over for the second time? Oh, wait a second. Second time. Oh, yeah, okay. No, I don't have to do that. No, Get to Sex Fast doesn't go into too many details about this second time sex. Correct. That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. No. Do what I said. Dial back your player. Try to identify your behavior set. What am I doing that is setting off player alarm bells with these women and spiking post-sex ASD, which is called buyer's remorse? You're doing something. I promise. And as soon as you fix that, you're good to go. They will start to want to see you again. You met Pink Firefly when you still live in the U.S. How would you approach finding MLTRs and eventually an OLTR if you weren't with PF and were already doing 5 flags? Would you still split your time between Dubai, Paraguay, and Armenia? I'm assuming you would still care about minimizing taxes. Are you fucking kidding? Yeah, that's priority 1 for me is minimizing taxes. Far more than women. You fucking kidding me? Kind of what I answered earlier. Let's see. How would you approach finding MLTRs eventually? Okay, here's what I would do. This is just Caleb's example. I'm not saying you do this. I'm giving you my example. You may hate my example, then adjust my example. As I've said several times in this AMA, my priority is not women. I've been there, done that, okay? My priority is my taxes, my income, my investments, my businesses, my mission. That's my fucking priority. So I structure my year and I structure my living environment around that. And then I plug women into that model where it makes sense. I don't start with how do I deal with my women? How do I find a wife? No. That's beta male bullshit. No. Okay. So let's see what I would, again, hypothetical scenario. I was living my lifestyle, but Pink Firefly was in my life. Okay. I would still, in terms of 5 flags, I would do pretty much the same thing I'm doing now. I would live in Dubai most of the year. Paraguay would be my backup. Mexico, Armenia, various other places. I would do the same thing. My annual schedule of travel would not change much. It really wouldn't. Change a little bit, not much. Okay. And that I would plug women into that model. Ideally, yes, if I want, so MLTRs would have to be in Dubai for the most part. If I had MLTRs in Paraguay, I'd have to fly them out here, which I have the money to do that because I'm an older man with a higher income. Don't do that if you're not an older man with higher income. I always have to throw these caveats out there. I would probably do that maybe. If I started developing a serious MLTR, like an OLTR candidate in Paraguay, then we would already have had the talk. Hey, if we get serious, so this is something I would do. If there was a woman outside of Dubai, if it was in the United States or Mexico or Paraguay or Armenia or, even places like the UK or somewhere like that, okay? And I was developing a real relationship, and I'd say, look, here's the deal. If we start getting serious, I live in Dubai. And so if you and I start getting serious, you're moving to Dubai with me. That's it. And if you don't want to do that, we should just keep this casual. And they would know that up front, okay? And then if that was the case, we start developing feelings. And then now, if she's in a place like Paraguay, she'd be like, all right, great, I'll move to Dubai. Maybe even Mexico too. But United States, UK, Armenia, they may go, no, I don't want to do that. Well, that's fine. And that would disqualify her from OLTR. If I found someone in Dubai, which is possible, but it would be a little more work because of the nature of the women here, but I could do it. It would be easy. It'd be an easy transition. So that's what I would do at this point in my life for me. That's how I would handle it. And again, that's just an example. Would I still care about taxes? Are you fucking kidding? Yes. You previously said, Caleb, not to waste your time with type 1 younger women who are repulsed by dating older guys. I totally agree. Okay. If an older guy is chatting to a younger woman on a dating swipe app who insinuates she might be a type 2, where she's not against dating an older guy, but isn't for it as she just hasn't dated and fucked one before who has had very good SMV and then says she's more into dating someone closer her age. Okay, that's not a type 2, that's a type 3. So you've misidentified that woman. That is what you just said is classic type 3. That is a type 3 woman. I'm open to it. I've never done it before. I prefer men in my life, but I'm open to it. That's not a type 2. A type 2 says, older man, I'm there. She doesn't make all these bullshit excuses. So that is not a type 2. She is a type 3. Do you have any suggestions on what to say back to that online as a good comeback that you've used before and have field tested before, where it doesn't come across as being too smart-ass-ish, and it may or may not work? Well, it may not work. There's no guaranteed technique you can give. Standard type 3 stuff, excuse me. Sam, you made my mistake. Type 3, standard type 3 stuff. Very, very low key and very, very safe. First of all, you need a little more conversation on the dating app, unfortunately, to calm her down a little bit because this is outside of her comfort zone. Okay. So a little more back and forth banter about her life and building rapport, not PUA player shit, not running game, real conversation like a real person talking to another real person. Okay. Getting her more comfortable with you. Number one. Number two, you say something like, hey, here's what we should do. We should meet up at somewhere very public. And if she's a younger woman, I often suggest food court at the local mall because that's where women are comfortable. Younger girls are comfortable at the mall, right? We should meet up at the food court at blah, blah, blah mall in the middle of the day with all these people around, okay? And just talk. Just talk. And if we don't like each other, perfectly fine. At best, maybe you'll just be a cool friend. Really safe. See? Totally non-sexual, very safe. And if she's really nervous, I've had a few girls do this, type 3s. Well, what would we do? We would just talk. Well, what would we do? Well, yes, we just talk. Just talk? Yeah, just talk. Just talk. Okay? If we don't like each other or we're not feeling it, that's fine. Be a friend. That's cool. Cool. I can use a new friend. Okay, whatever you want to say. I really want to think that. So. And if we like each other, we'll figure it out. We'll take the next step some other time. Really safe. That's you do type 3s. And it takes longer, as I've taught my books and my blogs, type 3s take longer. You better be fucking patient. If you're not a patient guy, don't do type 3s. They take more time. They're open to having sex with older men, but just like this woman said, she's never done it before. It's outside their comfort zone. A type 1 will never have sex with older men. Ooh, gross, fuck off. Block, delete. A type 2 is gung-ho. She's like, let's meet. Cool. Where? You name the place and time and I'm there. Yee-hoo, older man. All right. See? So that's it. I think that is it for the AMA, for the Alpha Male. It is. So this concludes the Alpha Male 2.0 AMA. As I said earlier, I have 2 more AMAs coming. I have a Sovereign CEO AMA where we're talking about 5 flags, business, finance, politics, stuff like that. That'll be on the Sovereign CEO channel / Sovereign CEO podcast. Then I will also have a... Camera just went out, not sure. I will also have a Pink Firefly AMA, and that will be on the Alpha Male 2.0 channel, Alpha Male 2.0 podcast with Pink Firefly. And this concludes this AMA. I had a lot of fun. Have fun. Bye.